right, it's time to rock and roll here in southern Italy for stop number 2 of the 2025 Red Bull Cliffdiving World Series. No place like Polignano a Mare. Today, this cliffside town becomes one of the most dramatic venues in sports. I'm Trace Worthington alongside Red Bull Cliffdiving veteran David Colturi. Thanks a lot for joining us. Dave, this place has it all. Stunning views as you see, electric crowds, which we'll see shortly. Serious adrenaline about to go down. One of your favorites on the list of dive spots, I'd imagine.
Absolutely, Trace. Yeah, these towers are just a magical centerpiece to what's a natural amphitheater. These surrounding balconies, the beach below, the cliffs across the way, a few boats on the water, all surrounding watching our superhero athletes flying through the air down towards that beautiful Adriatic Sea below.
Oh, and look at that historic bridge right there encompassing the narrow arches, massive columns. Great shot looking at the platform. We'll begin with the women's third round, followed by the men's third round. The first 2 rounds went down yesterday, Dave, and the ocean is still being a beast right now, the Adriatic Sea. A lot of waves crashing, making it super challenging for the divers. You've been here, you've experienced this. What's it like?
It's brutal. You know, I went for a swim this morning, Trace, and it's actually worse than it was yesterday. Still a lot of wind, but I was impressed by the divers yesterday. A lot of good dives, handling the challenges well. Let's see what they can do today.
All right, well, if you're new to Red Bull Cliff Diving, there's a format, 4 rounds of diving, but let's break it down. Here's how it all works.
Each Red Bull Cliff Diving event features 8 permanent and 4 wildcard divers per gender. There are 4 rounds of diving, with varying levels of difficulty. The panel of 5 judges has less than 3 seconds to evaluate the parts of each dive. The judges then award scores from 0 to 10. The highest and lowest scores are eliminated, and the remaining 3 added together. This total, multiplied by the degree of difficulty, gives the dive score. And all 4 dives are added together for the event score. Finally, series points are awarded at every event, with a bonus point for the best dive of the competition. At the end of the series, the divers with the highest series points are awarded the King Kahikili Trophy.
Ah, that coveted King Kahikili Trophy. Who will win it? 4 stops this year. This is the second of 4. Not many stops to earn those valuable points, Dave, to earn the trophy on both the women and the men's side.
Absolutely. It's a tough one this year. With only 4 stops, you really can't take anything for granted. You need to be on cue. You got to be really good at every single event.
So the current World Series standings with only 1 stop so far this season. You have Rhiannan Iffland. She got 21 points because she had the highest scoring dive. So she earned that extra point there. But Kaylee Arnett, she's the big surprise, big talk this season from the United States, sitting in 2nd. And so, and Chukanivska, the youngster, doing a great job as well, Dave.
Absolutely. So impressive. Chukanivska coming in, the youngest permanent diver at only 18 years old, and now in 3rd place in the overall rankings. Wow.
And it's going to be a tough season. As we mentioned, Dave, when you have 8 stops like we had last season, you can spread things out, maybe have a bad result here and there, but not this year. You have to nail it from A to Z. You have to check all the boxes every single competition. Now, here's the women's start list for round number 3. So Molly Carlson had an injury 2 days ago, a slight injury, kind of slipped off the end of the platform, just bruised her foot. So she's taken this competition off to get ready for some other things, and of course the next stop in Mostar. So there's the list. What stands out to you?
Yeah, with Molly not starting, it kind of opens up the podium. She's obviously usually on there. So we've got Iris, Nelly, and Maylee kicking it off. But in the middle here, Kaylee, she had a huge start. She was the leader after round 1. Now she's middle of the pack. Bottom of the list, always Rhiannan Iffland. She's our queen. Local hero Elisa Cosetti in 2nd place right now, and Morgan Herculano, the wild card, potentially on the podium. That's incredible.
That's incredible. And you said, Elisa Cosetti in 2nd right now because it is reverse order. So after 2 rounds of diving, they'll take the lowest score. That'll be the first diver to go. And then Rhiannan Iffland with the highest score after 2 rounds, she will dive last. She'll get to kind of look at everybody and see what's going on, and assess everyone else's dive and see what she has to do. But Rhi, again, on top of the game, But Elisa Cassetti, Italian favorite, as you mentioned, Dave, she is here and she is hungry for a podium. But we will kick things off right now in this women's third round. Remember, all 4 rounds count, right? So every single dive counts. Iris Schmidbauer of Germany, the 29-year-old who returns to the World Series. We talked about it in our yesterday show. Dave, she's coming back, had a baby girl, Leilani, last August. Now she's back in form, back in shape, and ready to rock here in the third round.
Yeah,
she's back on the platform, too.
She had a tough start, Trace, but she's got some big dives coming up. This round 3 dive is a handstand. Now, it's pretty windy up there, and the waves down below very challenging. Curious to see how Iris handles this. But she's got 27 starts now, a lot of experience. Polignano was her first event back in 2016. Look at that impressive control. Iris!
Oh, yeah. That is the way to kick off the third round. A handstand dive, arm stand dive. They call it handstand or arm stand.
Both work.
They both work. Your hands and arms are working right there. But Dave, that was amazing. And, you know, tell us what it's like that high off of the water doing an arm stand.
Trace, that was so impressive. First of all, we were talking about it yesterday. Superstition about going first in the competition. It's really tough because there's pre-show, there's warm-up. You're the first one on the tower. Are we starting now? Do I have a little bit of time? It's those jitters coming out. But Iris handling it like a pro. Look at this view, platform side. So focused in the handstand, a strong push. This is one of the most difficult dives from the women. Pushing off the hands, going into a twist and a somersault, but right here, finding that entry and crushing through the Adriatic Sea. Very little splash. So well done, Iris. She's got that little bit of a crunch into the twist. I'd like to see her push a little higher off the platform, but this final maneuver here, putting the arms down at the last second, finding the vertical line and going through clean, I'm expecting big scores from the judges to kick off the competition here.
And those 5 judges will weigh in for Schmidbauer of Germany. The high and the lower toss, that's within in the light gray right there. So 88 on that dive. So when you add that to the other scores from first and second round, 187.
Absolutely. I was a little surprised by the 7 and 6.5. So I thought it was going to be a bit better. Maybe the judges didn't like the control in the handstand, or like I was saying, the kip down, the direction of the push off the hands. It wasn't very high off the tower. It is something they take into account. So I was a little surprised, but here's our judges here.
Yep. You have Sam Dorman in the mix, too, right in the middle. Olympic silver medalist, Jeff Arvin, Gloria Palazzo, Marion Rife, Antonio Martinez of Mexico. He's the head judge. Those guys have a tough job today. They're usually in the boat, and now because of the rough waters, they're on the sidelines right here too. So
absolutely.
they got a different angle than years past.
And they're very far away from the platform. Usually that boat is almost in line with the entry, very, very close. Now they're at least 3 times away from the entry. It's hard to see the entry from so far away and so much above the water. Judges got the work cut out for him.
All right, here's Nelly Chukanivska, 18 years old, from Ukraine. Her third dive of 4. All right, there you go. Back-to-back crushed entries for the women so far. One by Schmidbauer, now by Chukanivska, Dave, from 21 meters, 70 feet off the Adriatic. Impressive.
Oh my gosh. Hot in, so hot in here. I'm going to keep throwing Nelly lyrics at you all day, Trace.
Yeah. No,
that I'm in. So good. Wow. You know, the women were on fire in warm-up. It was actually pretty impressive to watch. The men were a little bit more shaken up, but the ladies are just handling the conditions so well. This inward triple half from Nelly, strong takeoff, good jump up and away from the tower, very sharp kick, lasering in the landing, and look at that entry. Almost no water coming up above. That beautiful separation. You love to see the arms leading the somersault, jumping up over the top and into the rotations. Now she's got those arms out, squaring the lineup, and just dead vertical going through the water. Bravo, Nelly.
All right, remember, if you're watching, watching us live on YouTube. So weigh in on the comments. Dave and I will do our best, or our Red Bull cliff diving team, to answer your questions. Moves into first. When you add all 3 rounds together so far, 193. She'll have one more dive. All 4 rounds count. And there is the bridge we talked about. We were looking under earlier, that historic bridge with the arches. That's on top of the bridge. Spectators packed in, thousands every single year here in Polignano, Mare, the most visited country hosting the World Series. And one guy that's been here every single time is Orlando Duque, our Red Bull cliff diving sports director. He retired in 2019.
In Bilbao.
Last stop was in Bilbao. It was fun to watch Orlando. I talked to him the other day. He said, I'm still diving, doing some cool cliff, some Red Bull projects. So I'm still getting after it.
Absolutely. You can still catch Orlando in action on Red Bull TV. There's a lot of great content out there. He still does diving projects. He's the king of that fly front. He's the godfather of diving, Trace. I still get asked questions. Who's the guy with the ponytail? Do you know him?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know Orlando. He's a good dude.
He is cliff diving right there. All right, so Maylee Carpenter, the 37-year-old American, one of 8 women to earn a permanent diver spot for this season. So Carpenter drops in, just a slight splash on that. And then when talking to her, Dave, she said no matter how many times she steps onto that platform, it really never gets easier. Is that the case for you?
Oh, absolutely. People always ask us, are you scared on the tower? And I say 100% every single time. If you're lucky enough to go up there and look down, it's terrifying, Trace.
Yeah.
You're 70, you're 90 feet above the water. You know the potential consequences of a dive gone wrong. The nerves are there. You're scared every single time. But it's funny, I caught up with Maylee this morning when she was walking to the venue, and she seemed cool as a cucumber. I was asking her how she was doing, not bothered by the conditions, the waves, the wind. She did so well. This front triple with 1.5 twists, interesting fact here, Trace, she's the only front optional from the women who doesn't do a running takeoff. She's standing here. She has a very strong takeoff. I'd like to see her go up over the top a little bit more, but very dynamic in the somersaults and the twists. She finds the water. I think she just didn't quite extend right here. You're going to see it rolls over a little bit with a little bit of splash coming out of the water there. But Maylee has the highest DD in the women's competition. With that front triple 1.5 twists and her back triple with 2 twists coming up in round 4, she is the leader of difficulty in the women. And if she can hold on to some good scores, she's going to keep moving up the ladder in those rankings.
74 on that dive. Remember, all 4 rounds are added together. We're in the 3rd round for the women, so adding 3 together, 184.65 puts her into 3rd, taking a break from her job, teaching full-time now at a behavior school. Said she was grading papers while we were in the Philippines.
She's always
super
working.
busy, yeah. All right, next to drop, the newcomer and making her debut on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series is Lisa Faulkner. Tell us a little bit about her, Dave. You know her diving style and what her capabilities are. High DD on this round, by the way. Tied for the highest DD.
In this round, absolutely. Lisa's going to do the back handstand, 1.5 twist, the same dive we saw Iris open up with. Now, 4.4 is the highest DD in the women's competition. There are a few dives that meet that. We're going to see quad half from Simone, this dive from Lisa and Iris, back twist from Rhi. And I'm so excited that Lisa has decided to finally join the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. She had a long show history career, and now she's finally deciding to compete. So glad she's here.
Wow. The strength.
Yes, Lisa.
There you go. Slicing through the Adriatic. Lisa Faulkner in her debut from Delray Beach, Florida. Crushing that one. Great 3rd round.
Love to see it from the newcomer. This is her first competition. She's been working so hard in Fort Lauderdale, Trace. She's been training with Stephen LeBoux, obviously the most decorated diver to turn high diving coach. He's in Fort Lauderdale down there, and he's been training with Lisa. This handstand here shows so much control. The wind is ripping, doesn't bother her at all. She's a former gymnast, so strong. She's got a very powerful takeoff. The direction is big here. She gets up over the top, pushing off her hands right here in the air, arms over the top, twisting, squaring and seeing the water, and then lining up. She struggled a little bit yesterday finding those entries with the waves, and the waves have only gotten bigger today, Trace. Only 1 day of experience competing here in Italy, and now she's coming in, nailing this big dive. So proud of you, Lisa. Way to go.
Yeah, we'll talk about the timing on our next diver, Dave. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on the timing of these waves coming in and out. But a lot of eights. She'll keep 3 of them. Remember the high and the lower toss. So on that dive in gold, 105.60, 223.80. So the rookie on the World Series, Lisa Faulkner, in her debut as a wild card, the score to beat. So Faulkner is 5 to go of 11. Normally 12 women. Molly Carlson is a scratch. People have been asking about her in the chat room. A couple days ago on her running takeoff, she just slipped a teeny bit right at the end. Not really a slip, she just didn't get her foot planted in the right position, so bruised her foot. So now she is home. She's going to get rested for, Dave, the World Championships in high diving, as well as our next stop in Mostar.
Yeah, wise choice from Molly. I'm really proud of her for deciding to take it easy, recover the foot, have a strong end to the season.
All right, here's Madeleine Bayonne of France, 28 years old, retired gymnast in her 6th ever World Series appearance. She competed here last year, 11th place. We'll see if she can upgrade here in 2025. Another arm stand dive.
Another former gymnast. You're going to see her adjusting that brace on her left hand. She injured her thumb a little bit ago. Still choosing to do the arm stand dive. Maddie is incredibly strong. That gymnastics background paying off. Look at the focus and the control. Oh, there it is, Maddie.
Another one. Another one. Impressing the judges. Great entries by the women's 3rd round comp so far.
The ladies are on fire right now, Trey.
6.5, so you can weigh in, Dave, what you think on that, but she'll drop 1.7 and a 6.5 there.
Absolutely. I think she didn't quite show control on the takeoff. She got her legs up and went a little bit too quick before she was stable on the end of the tower. Let's watch here, this close-up. You can't see the legs above the hips right now with this very tight angle, but I think the legs come together and then she falls right away. If she held that handstand a little bit longer, I think the judges might go up a little bit. The focus in the eyes, the intensity coming off the tower, drilling the entry. We love to see that, but again, Trace, the judges are going to look at 3 different things. The first is the takeoff. She needs to get up and away from the tower. Ooh, her hips were pretty close there. She needed to push a little bit further away. The mid-flight was solid. Coming into the entry here, very good. A little hunched over, but stayed tight enough to take it in with very little splash.
So this is, again, a reminder of the 3rd round of the women, 3rd round of the men coming up next. 6.5, so again in gold, 74.10 on that dive, 193.20. So that
those waves.
The floating dock. We've called it the angry snake, many different names in the past, but it is probably one of the most difficult parts of the day for the divers, just walking back to the Lama Manakile Beach.
Fans are loving it. They're having a good time. It really is a magical place here, Trace. There's so much energy, fans all around. And here's a diver who loves the energy. We got Kaylee Arnett from the US, feeds off that. She's a mover, she's a groover, she's got dance moves. Right now she's adjusting the safety divers down below. That's a very popular question we get, Trace. What are the divers doing below in the water? We usually have 4 or 5 safety divers all there, primarily for physical and medical support. In a worst case scenario, in a crash or a bad landing, you're gonna need the divers to hold you. You might lose consciousness, you might tear a muscle, you could have internal bleeding. The safety divers are gonna take care of you, get to the supporting medical teams, you're gonna get checked out, you're gonna be okay.
And you'll see them every time any of the divers hit the water. Kaylee Arnett. All right, Dave, break that down a little bit. Look good in the air. And again, we talk about the splash whenever you would watch anything to do with this sport. Traditional diving, Olympic diving, the everybody kind of focuses on that big splash.
Absolutely. You know, the problem here is actually in the takeoff trace. She's been working on jumping this dive up higher and higher, but I noticed right as she took off, she's cutting this down a little too low. And in that case, it's very hard to finish the dive. She didn't get quite vertical. She was short of vertical quite a bit, which is where that splash came from, but it's all due to the takeoff. So while the splash is very important for the judges, and it can be a majority of the judges' score, the takeoff is what really determines how well you're going to be able to line this up. So here from the water cam, you're going to see her hitting that pike position, not get fully extended. It's the takeoff right here. Watch her upper body go straight down right here. And she doesn't finish the push through the toes to get her hips up higher above the platform, which is why she struggles at the end to line it up. Kaylee is one of the most stylish divers. She's got a great pike. The somersault was awesome. She just couldn't quite finish the dive there, Trace.
One of our viewers asking what the order is. So Kaylee Arnett,
The belly of the beast.
7th to go of 11 women with 66 on that. Grand total after three added together, 192.90. So Jeannie Van Kotvik is next, followed by Simone Leadhead of Canada, Morgan Herculano, and then Elisa Cassetti, and then top seed after the second round, World Series champ Rhiannan Iffland. So just a few more women to go in the third round before we get into the men's third round.
A nice hug,
Yeah.
from Madeline to Lisa right there. You know, one thing that I always get asked is, what am I missing? As an outsider, well, what's going on behind the scenes? And what I always tell people is the camaraderie between the athletes.
Yeah.
They really are sisters and brothers, traveling together, fighting together, risking their lives together, Trace. This sport is so dangerous, and everybody is so supportive of your fellow competitors. It's really a beautiful thing to see.
Here's Jeannie Van Kotvik, Netherlands. Fresh off the cruise ship. Talk about the different areas where athletes and divers come from, Dave, and gymnastics, diving, trampoline, all sorts of stuff. A lot of the divers doing the cruise ships or exhibitions and shows in different countries.
Definitely, Trace, yeah. Ginny and her husband, Matt, have been working on the Royal Caribbean cruise ships for years. They've been doing so many shows. I was with them in March during their very last show. I saw their last performance. It's what they love to do, but they've made a shift. Now they really want to get into competing, which I love. Now, Ginny's going to do another handstand here. A lot of handstands in the women's third round here.
Why is that? Just up in the DD?
Up in the DD, it's very difficult. They like to do it. Tough in the wind, though.
DD meaning degree of difficulty. Wow, look at that. All right, Jeannie puts it down into the Adriatic. Superb entry. Fellow competitors liking it.
There you go, Jeannie. Give us a fist bump and a kiss. Love to see that. Jeannie struggled on day one in training. Both this dive and her other optional that you're going to see in round 4, she really rolled over. She bruised her lower back. Her spine was hurting. And to see her come back on day 2 here and throw down this dive, really resilient, really admirable to see. Blowing kisses to the crowd. Jeannie's always a fun, spirituous, adventurous person. Great to be around. Now this handstand, she showed very good control. She held that handstand for at least 3 seconds. Leaning and pushing up into that forward somersault, rotating into the twist, squaring out, finding the water. This is where you got to really dial in the entry, putting the arms down and finding that vertical line. Very little splash coming up. Solid dive from Jeannie. Expecting some decent to very good scores from the judges.
5 judges, high in the lower toss, so she'll keep 3 sevens multiplied by that 4.2 degree of difficulty. So the 88 in yellow, 0.2, and 216.40. So moving her in a second. So she'll carry that score into the 4th round, which is coming up shortly. Dave, a lot of people ask why not head first, you know? I mean, it's people in the comment section, you know, why only to the feet?
Well, so the sport of high diving is very similar to traditional platform and springboard diving. The height causes us to go feet first instead of hands first. The force of the impact is way too much for the wrists and the shoulders to handle.
Faulkner still in the lead. How about that?
I'm telling you, Trace.
23.80.
She's one to watch.
Yeah, you want to carry that high score into the 4th round and then run later in the running order to get that advantage. Here we go with our next diver, Simone Leadhead. Super strong diver, only 22 years old. Is she doing a new dive perhaps on her in the 4th round?
It's this round, Trace. This is actually redemption.
Oh, okay.
So she debuted this dive in early 2024. This is a front quad. She crashed on it, and now she's bringing it back. She relearned it earlier this year. She chose not to do it in the Philippines. She's been training super hard in Montreal with her coach Stefan, teammate Molly. This looked good in training. This is big for Simone. If she hits this, she's going to be looking pretty. There it is!
Wow. Come on. First straight dive by Leadhead. She's going to be happy with this one.
Absolutely, Trace. Talk about redemption in action. From the crash in Auckland to debuting with a huge front quad half here in Polignano. So proud of you, Simone. Look at this powerful takeoff. Running to the end, dynamic into the somersaults, lasering in on the entry, and taking the water down with her. I was asking her how she got into this sport, and she said, you know, it's funny, Dave. It really feels like one day I just woke up and I was on 20 meter. She was a traditional diver for so long. She went to Junior Worlds in springboard and platform diving. She was enamored by the high diving program that Molly and Stefan and Lisanne Richard started in Montreal. She decided to try it for some fun. Next thing you know, she's up on 20 meters. Now she's doing one of the world's hardest dive. This is going to leapfrog her straight up towards the top with Lisa. Very well done, Simone.
So 103, and you're correct, Dave, 239.40. You add the first 3 rounds together in only her 14th World Series start. Very strong diver. So now Leadhead leads the way with the 239. So from 7th after round 1 to 1st in round 3. So we talked about it in the first round. Like, don't give up. Like, you can climb back up the charts, especially with these conditions, Dave.
Absolutely. Anything can happen here, Trace, and that's the magic of these big DD dives in round 3 and round 4. The first 2 rounds have capped DD. They're required in the intermediate. Everybody's got the same. But in rounds 3 and 4, the women can choose, and so can the men, whatever dive they want to do. And with these big DD dives, high risk, high reward, Simone hopping to the top.
3 divers remaining in this women's 3rd round before we move on to the 10 men that will be diving. There's your leader, Simone Leadhead. On the beach, the hot spot. Now we go back to the top for Morgan Herculano. This only her 4th start. Lots of the women with not many starts, Dave, doing very well right now.
Absolutely.
You look at our leader, and Faulkner in 2nd with her debut. Thinking about it. So Herculano coming in a bit short on that for the Harvard grad. She was thinking a little bit on the platform, Dave, in terms of what I was seeing. Does that have something to do with the wind? I mean, have you paused a little bit and rethought, should I actually be going off this thing?
Absolutely. Is this a good idea, Trace? Yeah, she was a little hesitant. I thought the takeoff was actually pretty powerful. She looked just a little hesitant on coming in towards the entry, a little bit short of vertical there, which is a shame because Morgan had such a solid day 1 yesterday. Coming with the takeoff, arms through, twisting and somersaulting at the same time. It looked pretty good on the takeoff. No deductions here. A solid pike. She's high enough above the water. She just doesn't quite get her feet down below her and raise her upper body to get that vertical entry. But this is textbook right here, Trace. Very good on the jump, closing the pike, coming out maybe a hair early, or just not finishing it last here on the end of the dive. That entry right there, bent at the hips, chest down, pushing that water out in front of her. That's what's going to get those mediocre scores from the judges.
A couple of our divers on the chat room. Dave, we have Aiden Heslop. He's asking what happened to Archie Bagan. Our team at Red Bull Cliff Diving answered that question. Herculano moves into 4th with 201. Ellie Smart's in the chat room. What's up, Ellie? Can't wait to see Aiden back in action, though.
Oh, me too, Trace.
Won the World Series last season, for those who haven't followed the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. And we'll hear from him in an interview in round 4. But, yeah, he's got surgery, some back issues. He's coming back strong. And here we go. Listen in. Italian favorite, Elisa Cassetti. 33-year-old fan favorite local diver, Andrea Barnaba. The other Italian diver, we'll see him shortly on the men's side. Now, what's she doing there? She's pointing down to the safety divers, making sure in the right spot.
Making sure they're in the right spot. And now that she's turning around and she can't see them anymore, she's telling them to splash. That was that hand waving motion, telling them to splash so she can see exactly where the entry is.
There you go, Cassetti. Putting up a little splash there, tied for the lowest DD in this round. So if you're going to be doing dives, Dave, with a bit lower DD, got to hit them.
You got to hit them.
And
actually
almost doing perfect. And we've seen, we've seen people on the top of the leaderboard. Johnny Paredes on the men's side do lower DD and be on the top of the leaderboard.
Exactly. Yeah, Elisa actually has the lowest DD combined in all of the women's competition. So this is the lowest of the round. She's got the lowest total in the whole competition. So Elisa needs high scores from the judges. She got a 6.5 and some 7s there, which is not terrible, but she does not have the luxury of missing dives when you have people like Simone Leathead and Lisa Faulkner now coming in and drilling those big DD dives. Now, this inward triple half is one that she's got a lot of experience with. She's actually working on some new dives. I talked to her when she arrived here in Polignano, and she said, they're coming, don't worry, but she's still got the easy ones right now. Now, this inward triple half, very beautifully well done. She actually gets decently vertical there, but the hips are slightly behind, which is why it throws up a little bit of splash there. So with that low DD, she's not going to get towards the top, and she's going to need a huge round 4 dive if she wants to get back up into the top 3.
She's seen the podium before, so right now in third at the 221.70. Cassetti, she is 10 to go of 11 women divers. So everybody chilling on the left-hand side. Simone Leathead, she leads the way. You have Faulkner in the mix. She's in second. Cassetti, who you just saw dive, sitting in third. But that's actually Simone that is leading the way with 239.40. Current leader.
Love seeing the athletes lounge here on the beach, Trace.
Yeah.
They all stay, they all hang around to watch their fellow competitors, cheer them on.
They know how hard it is. I mean, it's an intense. You know the sport, Dave, more than anybody. It's intense. They all, each athlete knows what each one of them goes through, right, on a daily basis, waking up and seeing the rough seas, and it's got to be nerve-wracking as we now look at the greatest of all time in women's Red Bull cliff diving. Rhiannan Iffland, top seed coming into this third round, now the 8-time Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion. She's won here 8 times straight. She's competed here 9 times. She's won 8 of them.
And that first time, she got second. So it's not like it was a bad performance
exactly.
either.
I know.
Now you're going to see the 4.4 DD here, Trace, tied for the highest in the round and the highest of all dives in the women's competition. This back twist, just like Simone's front quad and Lisa Faulkner's back handstand. A few of the ladies have 4.4 DD, the highest in the women's competition. Now the big difference here is Rhiannan Iffland doesn't miss.
And she just backed up what Dave Colturi said. Actually, it's funny because she usually rips even better than that. And it's like when you set that standard with the judges and they see a teeny splash, they're like, wait a second, what's wrong?
Yeah,
you know
they're going to hesitate.
But
do I give her the 10s that we always do? But that was a little bit of splash. What happened there? Yeah, and the funny thing is a miss for Rhi is an 8 or a 7.5. You're seeing them right here. And the funny thing is that's a hit for most of the women.
Yeah.
And so when Rhi dives poorly to her standards, she's still at the top of the ranks, which is why she's won so many events. It's crazy. Now this back twist, she gets her arms through, feet up, flipping and twisting at the same time, going through the water there, and just a hair of splash coming up because she didn't quite get those hips in line. But really not much wrong here, Trace. Beautifully done, arms through, feet up, twisting and flipping at the same time. This maneuver here, squaring from the twist and going into the pike, is a very difficult maneuver, but her trampoline background lends itself to that final maneuver, the Barani, lining up, taking down the entry with her.
all right, Rhi gets lift back to Lama Manakile Beach. So get a 103 on that particular dive. Remember, all 4 rounds are added together. So with that, Rhiannan Iffland with a 249.10 will be again the top seed leading into the 4th round and will dive last. A very familiar position that we've seen year after year with Rhiannan Iffland. And Dave, you tell me I asked you a couple days ago, I'm like, what is the difference maker with Rhi? What's the game changer? You know, I think all the women we see out here, very strong, powerful divers, physically, mentally, but the little bit of advantage is she has that mental capability, just one more greater than
one more degree.
It's just one more degree ahead, and that's a big thing in this sport. I'm guessing, right, with just dealing with Mother Nature.
Oh, absolutely. There's levels to this game, and Rhi's just got that edge on everybody. All of them are strong, like you said. When you get to this level, 99th percentile in physical capability. They all know how to flip and twist, but Rhi can turn it on like nobody else, and she stays in that zone.
She has 50 podiums out of 52 starts, a 96% podium strike ratio, and she's on her way to increasing that percentage today if she keeps it up. So Rhiannan Iffland leading the way. Simone Leadhead in second. Lisa Faulkner, the rookie, and making her debut in third. So great job by Faulkner of the United States. So, wow, great women's round 3. Now till it's over, Dave. You got to check all the boxes, all 4 rounds.
Absolutely, anything can happen, Trace. Morgan Herculano came in third. Now she's in 6th, but she's got a brand new dive ready for us in round 4.
So, and if you just joined us, Molly Carlson removed from the competition just with a slight injury a couple days ago. So she's going to get that checked out. I'm sure she'll be back with us soon. So women's round 3 wrapping up on a beautiful day in Polignano, Mare for stop number 2 of 4. And Rhiannan Iffland with that 2:49.10 leads the way. As we said earlier, she's with Michael Frosty on the beach. Frosty.
That's crazy, but then I watched the snake and it looks nuts.
Yeah. This walkway is crazy.
That looks like the most
You're like,
dangerous part. All right, Rhi, that was, of course, an amazing dive from an experienced diver. But how are these conditions treating you out here?
Yeah, look, today's a bit better than yesterday. Yesterday was very unpredictable. You couldn't really time it. You couldn't tell. Today it's calmed down a little bit for us, which is really nice. But you know, it's a fair playing field because everybody's got the same conditions. It obviously plays on your mind a little bit that it's windy and wavy, but you just have to focus on what you have to do. And that was my main goal today, was to come out and just focus on the technique and not let the weather affect me and control the controllables and not worry about anything else.
You know, I have to say, I've seen you pretty much every time you start, you're singing. You got like some music going. Is that like a special routine? Is there like a playlist I could sign up for? How do you do it?
Yeah, I probably could give you a playlist. It's a bit of everything. A lot of Aussie rock, a lot of 70s pop, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But I really think that, you know, the singing, it really helps me release all my emotions. You know, if you scream at the top of your lungs and you let out all the anger or the fear or the emotions, that's kind of what the singing's like for me. It's what it does for me.
Well, obviously it's working. I'm going to have to subscribe to that playlist because you're smashing it. I'll try to send it out to the other divers if I can, but amazing job.
Yeah, I really feel like I should make more of a set playlist because at the moment I'm scrolling through the whole time. You've inspired me to do it, but thank you very much.
Well, thank you. All right, back to you, Trace.
All right, great job. Thanks, Michael Frosty. Snow on the ground there by the beach. That 70s pop list, Dave, that could be broad, you know? Be like a Billy Joel, you have Olivia Newton-John in there, maybe a little Barry Manilow. I don't know. What do you think she listens to?
Setting the mood,
I'm just
Trace.
saying. She's saying 70s pop. David Bowie's in there. Maybe Bowie's on the list.
Absolutely.
No idea. All right, so that wraps up a great women's third round competition, and now it's time for the men's third round. Pivotal to get into that running order nice and high into the fourth and final round. World Series standings, Gary Hunt winning that first event in El Nido after taking most of last season off to compete in the Paris Olympics. Now he's back in the mix, comes back, typical Gary. Archie Biggins a scratch, wasn't feeling it, little back injury. Liechtenstein, the American, will run number 2. This was a mixed bag after the first 2 rounds. It went all over the map.
It was a really tough day for round 1 for some of those guys. James, uncharacteristically, in 11th.
Yeah, Preda was leading the way after the first round. Then he dropped to 7th. And then, Konstantin Popovic climbed the ranks. And then Jonathan Paredes nailing that second round dive off of the balcony. Put him on the top of the leaderboard. And then obviously running last because this is reverse order, as a reminder, those of you who just joined us. So it's the lowest scores from the first round will will dive first, all the way to the high score after the second round, which would be Johnny Paredes. So again, the key is to be in that Paredes position going into the fourth round. So that's why this third round is so important back on the platform. And this platform, Dave, let's talk about the height of it, 27 meters, 90 feet off the Adriatic.
Oh, that's up there, buddy. If it looks high from the side.
You bet you dove out this thing, what, 6 times you said? So, I mean, 6 competitions.
Yeah.
Many times. What's it like?
It's pretty spectacular. You know, you're the highest thing in the area. It feels super high. It looks high from the side when you're on the beach. When you're looking down here like James is, it is terrifying. Everything in your body is telling you to step back. That fight or flight response kicks in. You really don't want to jump. But these guys have trained so hard. They know what they're doing. This is fear, overcoming fear in action.
Second highest DD in this round, James Lichtenstein. And the only American male in this round.
James has been working hard on this with Coach Stephen LeBeau back in Fort Lauderdale. He had a tough go in the Philippines, but I was with him a few weeks ago and he got his redemption back. He was feeling strong coming out of Fort Lauderdale. He's got this big handstand dive. Him and Carlos Gimeno have the same optionals. Back arm stand 4.5, what James is going to do here, and standing back quad. A little bit of a strategic maneuver here. It's basically the exact same dive, but one's done from your hands, one is done from your feet. That heart rate, Trace.
It's live heart rate.
Attaboy, James.
Come on, it's the first time that we've seen that many flips in a row in the event so far here in Polignano, Mare. And that heart rate, we're talking, that's on his arm. It's a live heart rate. But Dave, tell us, one of the things when a viewer watches this for the first time, they're like, how do you not get dizzy?
Oh, it just comes from practice, Trace. I mean, trying to hold a handstand on the ground is one thing. Trying to hold a handstand 90 feet in the air with wind ripping around you and waves crashing down below, that's something that only a master can control.
Oh.
But this is how you come back from a tough day one. I mean, having the first spot of the day, James is in last place coming into the round. He's got to feel a little defeated after having a rough day one, but you come back and you smash your first dive, one of the harder dives in the competition. This is how you leapfrog in the rankings and go back up towards the top. Again, it ain't over till it's over. Just like we were talking about, Trace, every single dive counts. And even with a bad day one, you can still come back and find yourself towards the top of the rankings at the end of day two. So impressive from James, jumping off of his hands, rotating into the somersaults, and then finding that entry.
Your boy Steve LeBeau's on the YouTube chat, dude.
What's Steve saying? Yes, Lisa, fire.
One of the guys in the chat room asking about spectators and do they have to be quiet during the dives? And you and I talk about this, Dave. And Joey, who I've commentated with in the past, this isn't golf.
Nope. Bring the noise.
You bring the noise.
Absolutely.
As much as you want. I'm listening right now. Actually, now that we have Barnaba, listen. This will answer your question. Doesn't sound quiet to me.
Not at all. They're bringing the heat and the love for their local hero, Andrea. Now, one thing I will say, when a diver goes into the handstand, it is a customary thing to be a little bit more quiet while they're holding their handstand. But even some divers still want it to go. Mikhail Navratil from the Czech Republic used to love people going crazy as he's preparing for the dive. He would do the slow cap. He would start you going, slow pace, and then he would pick it up and time it with the takeoff as you're clapping louder and louder and louder. So a lot of the divers coming from show diving, coming from performance and circus, they love to feed off the crowd. Bring the energy.
Funny how you hear the bell. The bell isn't to quiet the crowd down. The bell is just to tell the diver that the judges are ready. But it does get quiet when that bell hits. I think that's pretty interesting.
Exactly. Pumping himself up, slapping those legs. Now, Andrea has had to make a few changes to his list. He had a crash in the Philippines. He's training a new handstand dive, but he got lost on that. So this is an inward triple half. A very low DD dive for Andrea, but he's got some big ones in his back pocket. He's got a brand new dive that he's going to do next in round 4.
Oh, Barnaba! Evaporating into the water. Beautiful dive. Italian fans love it. By the way, James Lichtenstein's last dive score, I don't know if we covered that, 227.40. He's in the lead, but these are some big scores for Andrea Barnaba, the 21-year-old from Trieste. See if that puts him up there.
Absolutely, Trace. That's how you hit a dive in front of your hometown. He got 10s on this dive in Turkey last year, where he got on his first podium. This is such a beautiful dive. His form is probably the best of anybody on the series right now. Great jump up over the top, folding into the pike. I talked about this yesterday. He has the deepest pike of anybody I've seen. He's let go of his legs, and his face is still touching his shins, Trace. That's incredible. The flexibility, the acrobaticness, the powerful nature of his dives, and he takes down the water as good as anybody I know. Ooh, it's a little dicey getting off that jet ski.
It's like yoga in the air. 96.90 on that dive. All 4 dives count. This is the 3rd round, so he's in second after 3 rounds, 220.90. So it's not at all over for Barnaba. That puts him in a good position, but his 3 to go. 10 divers versus 12 in this men's round today. Sergio Guzman is a scratch along with Archie Biggin. Just slight injuries. As you can tell, not an easy sport with even the slightest of injuries. Dave, you know that. That's kind of why you're sitting next to me.
That's why I'm with you right now, Trace. I'm still recovering from my big injury. It's pretty crazy. We started with 12 guys yesterday. We're down to 10 now. It is such a demanding sport. The impact is so intense, up to 10 Gs. Hitting the water speeds about 90 kilometers an hour, almost 60 miles per hour. It's like a car crash going through the water.
One of the viewers is asking, this guy Martin, how long does it take to learn a new dive?
Oof. It varies from diver to diver. You know, you start on the side of the pool in the dry land with a basic somersault, then you build it up rotation by rotation from 1 meter all the way up to 27 meters. Now, there's certain divers like Nikita Fedotov who came in strong with a huge list. He learned dives very quickly. Last year, he had the hardest dive in the world, back arm stand, 4.5 somersaults pike, 6.0 Trace. But right now, neither him nor Catalin Preda, who also did the dive, no longer compete that dive because they took bad landings on those dives. So Nikita also strategically changing his list. He also did a reverse twister last year, no longer doing that because it was difficult for him. So he's got a much lower DD list than he used to do. Right now he's going to do the same dive that Andrea just did, the inward triple half. Shot from the water there,
yeah,
Trace.
Great shot. Clear waters of Polignano, Mare, and the Adriatic. Sergio Guzman likes it. He's again removed from the competition from a slight injury. We have James Lichtenstein standing next to him, who is leading. A bunch of 7s across the board, 7.5. So he'll drop a 7 and a 7.5. He'll keep 3 of them, multiplied by that degree of difficulty.
Yeah, and you know, for an inward triple half, that DD is not very high. So 7, 7.5 is an okay dive. But when you're competing against dives that have much higher degree of difficulty, 7s and 7.5s are just not going to cut it, Trace. This isn't going to get him up in the rankings. This was a solid dive from Nikita. He pushes his hips back a little bit too far on takeoff, but he makes up for it with a beautiful pike there, getting the rotations around, spotting the water. He does the arms up branding maneuver, different than most divers. But he still manages to find an okay vertical entry. However, his hips were not in line, and that's what's going to throw up that water with the splash.
And then a lot of people want to know, does it hurt when you hit the water, Dave?
Oh, every single time,
I know this is soft, you know, like there is dense water versus softer water, but every single time it hurts?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Whether it's soft water or hard water, you're still going to feel it. Now, how vertical you are definitely will dampen that effect. If you're super vertical and you take it down with no splash at all, it's not going to feel nearly as bad as if you can imagine if you're being completely horizontal.
James Lichtenstein, the American, leading the way with 227.40. Talk about that, Dave. 3-second free fall, 85 kilometers per hour. That's 53 miles per hour, and that 10 Gs of physical force that you've witnessed over the years has got to be crazy. So see if our next diver can handle it. Again, Sergio Guzman is a scratch. We'll move on to Gelato Martinez, the 22-year-old, making some noise as a wild card diver last season. Earned himself a permanent position this year. Only 8 men and 8 women get invited through the whole season as permanent divers. The rest are wildcard divers inserted at every stop. And then they have a chance to be a permanent diver as long as they get the points and start beating the permanent divers.
Exactly. It's all about the rankings at the end of the year, Trace. Yolo here, doing a handstand. Very tough with that wind.
Gelato Martinez Just looked like the timing was off just a bit coming in. Those waves and the currents. How does that affect you, Dave? I mean, when you're talking about the timing, talked about it yesterday. Can you time it to where you see which waves are coming in? These waves are not swells.
Exactly.
Right? So
you can't really time it. The divers were talking about it yesterday and calling it Russian roulette. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes the waves just come up in front of you out of nowhere, or it's going to wash out. Now, Yolo did a great job here. Very vertical, just a little bit loose with a little bit of splash, but this is a big dive for him. Back arm stand, pushing off his hands. Look at that jump. He loses his feet a little bit in the beginning and his leg right there. Ooh, even a little crimp in the knees as he goes into the pike. All possible deductions from the judges. However, he does a very good job getting vertical, the feet underneath him a little bit, throwing up some splash, but a very powerful dive from Jolotl. Now, he's told me he's training to add a twist to that dive, which is the same dive that Konstantin Popovic does right now, the highest DD currently being competed. He's got another big dive coming up with a back twist. He wants to add a somersault to that one, which would give him the same list as Konstantin, the highest DD of the men total. So Yolo's working on some big dives. He wants to play that game, high risk, high reward.
fellow divers, including yourself, nickname him Yolo. As we look at Catalin Preda. All right, so Preda is 7 to go here, and actually 6 to go with Archie Biggin being a scratch and Guzman. So he is now only 6 to go. Actually, Preda's 5th to go with the scratches. So now 5 deep of 10 in the men's round. Martinez with a 96.2. And adding the first 2 rounds together with that third, 234.0. So Martinez, new leader, new score to beat in the men's 3rd round.
Catalin here doing the same dive that Jolotl just did. And this is redemption for Cat. He took a hit on this last year in Austria, bruised a rib, kept him from coming back from a very big crash earlier in the year. In Boston, he was doing that back arm stand pike. It's kind of the ultimate comeback for Cat. Can he do it? A little short there.
But that timing is tough, Dave. How does that feel coming in like that? Just your chest, your chin coming in a bit short.
Yeah, chest down.
Can't feel great.
Water coming on there, hitting you in the neck and the chin. It's really a heavy impact. It's going to be hard to eat your pizza and swallow your gelato later. It's not friendly.
With the past injuries that he's had starting in Boston last year, it's something we don't want to see with Preda right now.
Absolutely, but he's a tough guy. Yeah. He comes back from pretty much everything. Very controlled in the handstand here. Solid takeoff. He cuts into the twist a little bit early. I'd like to see his arms come up over the top a little bit more to get a few more rotations before he goes into the twist. So he snaps the legs very strong, but the arms go way into the side. That left arm needs to go over the top a little bit more. He's very dynamic coming out of the twist, closing into the pike. Beautiful form in the Barani, but he just doesn't quite finish it here. Hitting the stomach, the chest, the chin, throwing some water out in front of him. Still smiles from Cat. He's one who can take it in stride, but he's going to need a very big dive in round 4 if he wants to get back up top.
Yeah, that puts him in the 3rd, 222.35. So Preda, we have Hunt coming up next, followed by Prigorov, Gimeno, Popovic, and Paredes.
Jolotl here with his girlfriend Ava looking at his dive, getting some encouragement, some coaching.
All right, he'll refocus and start thinking about what he needs to do for his 4th round dive, but at the moment it is Martinez with that 234.0 leading the way. Liechtenstein with some good points, coming back strong actually, where he was sitting coming into the 3rd round. And Preda, who we just saw sitting in 3rd. Here's the man. Gary Hunt, winner of the first stop, winner of more Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series events than anybody in history. The 10-time King Kai Keeley Trophy winner, 101 starts, 47 victories, 78 podiums. What's he going to need to get into first, Dave?
He needs 6.2 from the judges to get into first. That's a very reasonable score for the GOAT, the man, the myth, the legend, Gary Hunt, to get here on a dive he knows very well.
Undropping in, uncharacteristic splash. Out of the greatest of all time. Again, winning that first stop in El Nido, Palawan, Philippines. After taking some time off last year to compete at the Paris Olympics. Never underestimate that guy, though. Even coming into the fourth round, no matter where he's sitting, coming into the fourth round.
He'll come up and get you.
Off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Strong takeoff from Gary here. I like how he throws and gets into the twist right away. Squares into the pike, but he just doesn't quite seem to find that entry. A lot of the guys are struggling, even in warm-up. Now the platform, with the men being a little bit higher, it is more exposed than the ladies, so the wind is more of a factor for these takeoffs. But as he comes in from the twist into the somersault, he tries to laser in on the water, but the waves is what's really giving the divers a problem. He can't quite find that entry, and maybe it's because the water is coming up. If you hit that wave on the upswing, that 27-meter platform just dropped down to 26 or 25.5. And when you've got dives doing so many flips and twists, it's hard to fit everything in and still find that vertical line as a water wave is coming up and hitting you from underneath.
Still taking over the top spot, though, Gary Hunt. So that strong first and second round, putting him in a good spot, even with lower scores than anticipated in round 3. So Hunt now with 240.50 and 4 divers remaining is the man to beat. 102nd start. Imagine that, Dave. How many starts have you had? You've had a lot.
About 70.
You've had 70.
Not quite triple digits like Mr. Hunt.
All right, Alexei Prigorov. This guy came his very first win last November, the finale in Sydney, at the age of 37. That was after 35 career starts since 2017. And everybody. There was 60. I was just corrected. 69 starts, dude.
69. So I haven't hit 70 quite yet. I got to get back in the game.
All right, Prigorov. He's got an Olympic bronze, Beijing 2008, traditional diving. He's got World Cup medals, European Championship medals. Everybody at the final stop in Sydney loved seeing him win, by the way.
Oh, it was such a special moment. Alexei's such a great guy.
He's going quick. A lot of stuff going on right there with Prigorov. Dave, that out of you tells me something.
Yeah, he just carried it over. Alexei struggles with distance from the platform. So you're going to see him sit back and lean away, and that momentum carries from the takeoff all the way into the entry. It's very hard to find that vertical line when you have so much horizontal energy leaving the tower with you. Now, sometimes Alexei finds that water really well. He won the competition in Sydney, but he struggles here on his first optional dive in Polignano and Mare. After he comes out of the twists and the flips, that last maneuver, the Branny, is so hard to control on these optional dives. Here you're going to see the hips drop back behind his body and his shoulders really lean away from the tower. That's what's going to carry him away. Now he's very good in the twists and the flips of this dive. So much going on. 1.5 twists first, 2.5 somersaults next. But as he comes in, he tries to close those arms, and all that horizontal momentum carries him over, and that big splash rolling through the water is something the judges do not like to see.
So keep 2 6s and a 5.5. Throw out the high and the low. Moving into second, 237.05. Still keeps him in the mix. It's close to Hunt. I mean, Hunt is with his 245.0. Even Martinez is still in there with his score of 230.40. So the margins aren't
not that
big.
far away.
Yeah.
And actually, something that I really like to see is James Lichtenstein closing that gap huge. He had such a rough first day, but he's closing that gap strong with the big first dive, opening the rounds today.
Carlos Gimeno, Spain, 35 years old. Looking for some appreciation from the audience here in Italy. So Hunt, Prigorov in second, Martinez in third. Impressive dive by Gimeno in this third round. He's happy about it.
There's that big back quint, Trace. So many somersaults, coming up strong, holding on to those shins, finding the water, and slicing through. Very solid from Carlos Gimeno. Look at this takeoff, keeping the balance, arms coming through, giant jump, slamming those knees to his chest. I'd like to see him grab a little bit lower on the shins to close that space from his heels to his buttocks, but then he finds the water and he stays in tight. A hair pikey, but tight enough to take down most of the water with him. Well done, young sir. Fist bumps and kisses, well deserved.
All right, Gimeno now in the top spot with a 265.75. So now we have a large gap between first and second. Hunt was kind of keeping it in there pretty tight, but now Gimeno 15 or 25, was it 25 points ahead?
Absolutely, and that's what's going to happen when you have those top guys who did not miss in round 1 and continue to hit in rounds 3 and 4. They're just going to make that gap even bigger and bigger.
2 divers left on the men's side, third round if you just joined us. Women's, they finished 3 rounds of diving. We are in the men's third round, okay? Konstantin Popovic, he will dive. He has the highest degree of difficulty in this round, followed by Jonathan Paredes. That will conclude 3 rounds for the women, and then men, and then we will get into that pivotal 4th and final round a little bit later.
Yeah, you're right, Trace. Not just the highest DD in this round, highest DD total overall, because his 4th round dive is even 0.1 more, which makes such a big difference, and he's got a huge gap to the next diver down below him. So it really comes down to a numbers game at this point, Trace. If Konstantin can hit his big DD dives, there's nothing the other divers can do. It's mathematically impossible for them to catch up to him because his DD is so high.
Your leader, Carlos Gimeno. And he clearly knows what Konstantin Popovic, the 2023 King Ka-Keeley Trophy winner, is capable of doing. Nevertheless, Gimeno's in a great position. Same with Hunt and Prigorov. Those are your top 3 right now. It's all about placing high on that list with some good points leading into the 4th round.
Absolutely, Trace. He's looking for that 10th win. His last win came just about a year ago in this exact location. He's the defending champion in Polignano Mare. He would love to win a 10th time total in his career, 2 in a row here in Italy.
Which would get him closer to being the 2nd all-time winner behind Gary Hunt. Artem Selchenko has 11.
That's not going to do it, Trace.
Uh-oh.
That's tough. Really hard considering I saw both of his warm-up dives, Trace, and he was on fire. He won warm-up. He hit both this and his other optional, but now he's holding on to the rescue divers. He really went over on that. That's not going to feel good.
And we don't see that much out of him.
Nah.
At all.
He rarely misses. He's super strong. He's taking his time getting on that jet ski. I hope he's not shaking up too bad.
All right, what went down?
Well, he had a very strong takeoff. It's hard to see from this water angle, but you see all those dynamic maneuvers, jumping off the platform, twisting first, then going into the somersaults, but he's already vertical with a few meters left to go, and that's why he really goes over on the bottom there. Oh man, that's so much impact on the back of your legs, your lower back. That is not going to feel good. Such a dynamic takeoff. He does throw his head back a little too much there, but he's so good at the flipping and twisting. He really keeps his feet together, which is something he was struggling with in years past. But this is the problem, Trace. He lines up, and this could be a wave crashing out from below him. This is such a hard thing in these conditions. He might have thought he was vertical, and the water sweeps out below underneath him, and now he's taking that impact on his posterior chain, and you even saw his line kind of break as he was going through the water. That's going to jolt through your entire posterior chain and cause you some problems. I really hope Konstantin is okay here. 3.5 some 4s from the judges, the lowest we've seen all day. That's tough.
That 216.90, a guy who is such a fierce competitor is not going to be happy with that. Popovic take a break before his 4th round. As we go to the top, for the top seed, the leader coming into the men's round 3, Jonathan Paredes, making sure the safety divers are positioned well down below, giving the judges the thumbs up. The 35-year-old Mexican in his 78th start on the World Series, still kicking out some good results as he's leading right now. See if he can carry that into the 4th round, Dave.
This is make or break for Johnny. This is a dive that's given him so much trouble. The back triple. He got lost in San Rafael in 2021. He's trying to bring it back.
Tough conditions today.
Pretty solid, Johnny.
Pretty solid, yes.
I talked to him earlier today. He said he wasn't even going to warm up the dive. He was so nervous about it. He said he only wanted to go through that misery once, Trace. He decided to do it cold in the competition. Bold move, and it paid off okay for him. Not his best entry, but a pretty solid dive. The mental games that this sport plays with you, Trace, are absolutely immense. And for something like this for Johnny, he's been battling this for so long. Strong takeoff. He finds that 2.5 twist square very well. And honestly, a pretty good job. Just like Constantine, not as bad, but rolling over a little bit. Those waves are so hard to time right now.
What scared you the most when you were up there? I mean, over time.
Over time, it's twisting like this, because I've also gotten lost like Jonathan before. And so when you're in the air, and you talked about it yesterday, the twisties that Simone Biles experienced in the Olympic Games, and actually she drew out because of that, it really is a diver's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And so when you get lost and you take a big hit in a sport like this, it really shakes your confidence.
Yeah, as an aerial skier back in the day, that's what happened to me too. It was the scariest thing, because you throw yourself in the air and you're not sure what's going to happen.
It's a nightmare. You know it, Trace, yeah. And so for Johnny to come back, he didn't compete this dive in the Philippines. He does it well enough here to take 2nd place.
Nice, 252.25 for Paredes. So that's what he needed to do. Just hang in there, get into that top 3. So he's running later in the order, coming into round 4. But your leader after round number 3 is Carlos Gimeno, that man right there with his 265.75. It's a pretty big gap between 1st and 2nd. So Gimeno in a great position. Now coming into round 4, but anything can happen. Gimeno has 5 podiums, including 1 win. That was in Mostar. That was an impressive day. See if he can grab another win today here in Polignano, Mare. James Lichtenstein crawling back up the leaderboard. 6th, the American. Again, Gimeno leads the way. Gary Hunt. Anything can happen, again, going into round 4.
Absolutely, Trace. Really proud of Jonathan Paredes for hanging on to that 2nd spot, a dive that's been giving him troubles. He hit that very well. Some movement on the leaderboard. James, huge comeback, like you said, from rounds 1 and 2, Trace. Joloto staying strong. He's now in 5th. Cat Preda, he's got to get that comeback. He's been struggling so much last year, and with a rocky start this year, he has the ability, he has the degree of difficulty. If he hits that last dive, he can knock himself back up.
All 4 rounds count for the women and the men. So things can happen. This competition continues to be a beautiful day, though, in Polignano, Mare, Italy, as we get set soon for round number 4 in the 2nd stop of the 2025 World Series. So the place is packed. Lama Manakile Beach, and spectators are packing in, anticipating round 4 is going to be exciting, which it always is here at this location, Dave, and we're going to crown a champion for this stop number 2. It's a great place to be on the podium.
Absolutely.
No,
it's so magical.
Italian crowd, they know the names of the divers.
They love it.
They know the sport well.
They're true fans of the sport.
Yeah.
It was a really wild round 3, Trace. I can't believe I saw what just happened. I mean, the women were on fire, a little bit of movement, but on the men's side, holy smokes.
All right, and Hidden Cliffs, Dave, you were a part of it.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. So it's something you can check out on Red Bull TV, but here's a little taste of it right now.
We're really looking for a cliff diving possibility in Saudi Arabia.
That's a good thorn.
There are no running rivers here. There's not a lot of bodies of water, and we're really trying to find these special freshwater pools in the wadis here that come from the rainfall and the rainy season in the rolling hills and the mountains here.
The rich lies in the hike, in the climb, in the remoteness. It's not necessarily about the 3 seconds of the execution, but rather about the richness of the entire journey to really explore this natural diamond in the rough.
There's history of a waterfall that's on the back of the rock coming above because there's some greenery and you can see where the water was flowing into the pool, and it continues on into a shallow pool below it. But for sure, there hasn't been much rainfall in a while. Your first thought is, oof, is the pool even big enough or is it even deep enough? So that's gonna be challenge number one.
We decided to split the duties of water depth checking and first dive off the cliff, and rock, paper, scissors was the decider.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I won, which meant that Dave will go and do the depth check.
Okay, jumping in. It's like a spear fisherman.
Yeah.
And sort of help me identify, you know, the line for the dive, the direction. I had to climb up to the spot, find, you know, the best possible footing and the best angle for the landing spot that he indicated for me.
Up until where I am, you've got a nice probably 3 by 3 meter section here.
Nice.
That's all super soft, 4 meters plus. Really good.
Sweet.
Ready to fly?
Ready to send.
Let's do it.
Freedom is a good word, yeah. I think that moment of takeoff and those 3 seconds of a cliff dive, it's the most liberating, freeing experience I've ever felt because there's nothing else that is touching you at this moment. Literally, you're free floating, flying through the air, and all your doubts, worries, normal life, stresses, and hassles melt away, and you're just floating and suspended in air, falling down towards this water that you love. It's really a cool existential experience.
Yeah, that was the one. Oh, that was the one. So cool. It's the sundown down, yeah. Yeah, I know it's the sundown. Adventure all the way. Yeah.
Wadi Lajab, the second location, was very different from the first one. Again, mountain roads, but in this part of the Jazan province, the landscape was different. Mountains were higher. Once you left the asphalt, the path was super narrow. The car barely fit, and left and to your right, there was nothing. It was a super deep valley.
So much goes into getting a team of 15 people in here, and it was a really cool teamwork experience. Honestly, the collaboration and the cooperation from everyone involved was just impeccable. We're all helping each other up the rocks. We're all passing equipment left and right, making sure we all get through this relatively slippery and treacherous journey together. The freshwater pool at Wadi Lajab is decently big from the shore, but you know, the actual entry point is quite shallow. And so we're just scraping 4 meters. And honestly, for us as a sport, we'd like to see that 5 meter mark. And so we thought if we could build a small dam to help raise the water level any bit, every 10 centimeters is really nice for us. So a whole teamwork goes into scraping the rocks and sand, filling up sandbags, building a wall that goes along the whole coast of this little freshwater pool.
This is doable. Yeah, and this is basically to the grade.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, but man, you're freaking close.
Testing out how well did the dam work. You know, Kat and I get in for a second water depth check, and it really did well. You know, we've got our camping pole that goes down, and you know, now we're measuring 4 plus, 4.2, 4.3, maybe even 4.4 in certain points. And so, yeah, it was nice to see that the dam worked. Now we can go up and try to send some dives.
It was game time.
Oh, that was cool. Let's go higher.
Finally, we get to go up to the cherry on top. You climb through this crazy crack in this little crevasse that gets up, you shimmy over one ledge to get to the 20-meter perch, and now you're basically floating above the canyon wall, and you look down and you've got this tiny little bowl that you can see that you could possibly jump into when you successfully do the first dive. And then Kat does the first dive, and we're so overrun with emotion and joy and relief that maybe you let guard down a little bit too much. Yeah, so you might be able to see these beautiful 4 stitches that I got last night. I got to experience the darker side of cliff diving, let's say. The last dive in Wadi Lajab did not go according to plan. Coming down out of the dive, I could see the water below me, but I knew that the cliff actually swept and kind of angled in underneath, so I knew it was going to be close. And thankfully, you know, I got all the way through the water, but for sure I felt the cliff. You know, as I'm going through, you're hitting the water at 70K, and my knee just immediately scrapes the rock going through, and then my chin gets it. Even from above the water looking through, I could see white. You know, the gash in my knee was really big, and you could see straight to the bone. Everybody starts doing their piece of, you know, how are we going to get Dave out of here? What's going to be needed? How bad is the injury? It's not to make less of anybody who makes a mistake, because mistakes can happen in this world. But for sure, it weighs on me, you know, that this is the way that the project has to end. I would do everything again. What do you really learn from success? Failure is the true teacher in life. This is something that I'm going to come back from stronger, better, smarter, wiser.
Just an incredible adventure.
Yeah, we're taking more than scrapes, bruises, and stitches out with us from Saudi Arabia. You know,
Yeah.
there's memories, lessons learned,
Crazy story.
hearts filled with joy, and experiences we'll never forget. Inspiration for years to come.
For sure. Yeah.
Love you, big guy.
All right, pretty cool, Dave. I'm going to ask you a few questions about that, but you can check out the entire episode on Red Bull TV. How was that experience? I mean, you've told me a lot about it. I mean, does that really do justice, just what we saw there, or is it a whole different experience?
It still gives me chills, Trace. I mean, it was one of the most exhilarating and demanding projects I've ever been a part of. You know, Kat and I were exploring uncharted territory in the cliff diving world. Saudi Arabia, a place not known for its cliff diving locations. This was a week full of early mornings. We're riding at dawn. We're pushing late into the night, setting up some of the most challenging climbs and dives I've ever had to attempt. Now, you saw it in that teaser. That last dive we had to do from 70 feet above the water, you were basically trying to land on a twin mattress with rocks all around. It was so incredibly scary and demanding. Now, there were more than a few close calls, but it made for such an adventure that Catalin and I shared. With the entire crew, we met some amazing locals along the way. It was an experience that none of us will ever forget. And it made for an incredible cinematic experience that everyone should check out.
You were telling me the locals, all of a sudden you're just pulling up at this small town and you're having dinner with these guys, and I mean, it's like fully welcoming you guys into their area and their culture. That was awesome.
No, this guy came into the canyon and started free climbing. We had our riggers with us setting up a whole rope climb, and he's like, hey guys, no problem, just watch this. He free soloed the thing, and then he invited us to his farm. We had farm fresh food with him and his homies. It was just magical. It was so cool.
That's awesome. Once again, you can see the full version on Red Bull TV. So definitely check that out, as we are just a little over 15 minutes away from getting underway with round number 4 here in Polignano, Mare, Italy. Stop number 2 of 4. Great 3 rounds for the women along with the men. The dicey conditions, meaning the waves down below and the wind affecting the divers, super challenging, but that is just simply cliff diving, and that's what it's all about. That's what I love about this sport, Dave, the natural elements, not in a controlled environment. Like, anything can happen in terms of results, and anything can happen coming off the platform into the water. But you guys do a wonderful job as divers, by the way, and just keeping it safe, but it's still not that safe when it comes right down to it at the end of the day.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment. It is so challenging. I was in that water this morning. I mean, it kind of looks like it's waving there on the screen, but when you're in that water, you're getting tossed around. The safety divers are getting thrown around. The divers have a very tough time finding the vertical line because, again, that moving target beneath your feet is going up and down the entire time throughout the competition. So challenging.
Yeah, and we talk about the platform here, Dave, and just on the Labate home and there, but it's different everywhere. And one of the places that was unique and interesting was the first stop in El Nido, where the divers were challenged just getting to the dive spot. Check it out, how it all worked for them behind the scenes.
To choose this type of locations, of course, you have to come here in advance and do a location scout. You have to check everything around. It's not just the height for the dive or deep water. That you can find a lot of times, but you have to have the right providers that are gonna supply everything you need to set up. So it's not like we're bringing everything from the other side of the world. We get local stuff. El Nido is cliff diving paradise. Everywhere you look, there's cliffs, there's beautiful water. That's all the things we look for when we want to go cliff diving. It's gonna be a really nice spirit. It's the best conditions probably that we have for the start of the season. In a location like this, I mean, it's as beautiful and as much as we like it, it's very tricky to set up. Like, we had a team ahead of time come over and set up all the safety precautions. So just access to the cliffs, even if it's just, you're gonna see them just standing there and it's a small place, to get there, it takes a long time.
We have 3 different diving spots where it's not just about the dive spots themselves and how the athletes are getting up, it's about camera positions, it's about ladders.
The camera concept in the Philippines was really a challenge. As we always want the best possible angles to cover the sport, the rigger needed to build platforms for the camera guys to have stable footing on the cliffs. And it was not easy to bring the equipment up to their positions.
We use local materials. We try to source whatever is around here so that it can integrate to the environment. It's as good for the locations as possible. I mean, this really is cliff diving paradise, so we want to keep it that way.
Obviously, other things like special tools we need from Europe were brought in with regular hand luggage and our travel bag. There are not tons we ship from A to B and from B to C, and therefore it's amazing to see what the riggers can do with a hammer, with a couple of ropes and some local bamboo.
We're as far as possible from the city. We're in the middle of nowhere. Anything that we need, there's a lot of equipment we're moving around, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see how the team really works to make all that happen. We have the platform where we do the big dives, This is another thing that takes a long time, and remember, the platform has to be solid, so we cannot improvise. These divers are doing such big dives that they really need a stable and solid platform.
Easy and straightforward. The first part is 2 sections of ladders.
Okay.
Then Manfred is up there, and from there is a rope all the way to the platform.
Just clip, clip.
Exactly. Cool. You always keep at least one carabiner clipped onto the rope. Mm-hmm. Most of the time both, unless you reach a knot where you have to clip out and clip in again.
Okay.
And then just one by one. We prepared a via ferrata for them, so they are jumping into a climbing harness here, and it's a 10-15 minute climb to the platform.
Yeah, it's the harder part for sure. Like, I'm not a climber, but I love diving, so it's worth it to climb.
Yeah, that's the real cliff diving.
Watch this. I've got something to prove.
What?
No way!
Oh! And vanishing into the emerald waters of the lagoon. All right, beautiful spot, El Nido. It's the second time we've been there in the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. You can check behind the scenes of course, available on Red Bull Cliff Diving's YouTube channel, Dave.
Yeah, that El Nido location is just absolutely amazing. One of my all-time favorites. I missed this edition this year, but I was there in 2019, and it's hard to put into words how magical that place is. 2 dives off the platform, 2 dives off the rocks. Natural takeoffs in these beautiful lagoons. It's insane how special that was.
Yeah, well, speaking of platforms, this one here is very unique in itself, off a private residence home, and standing by close to that dive spot is Michael Frosty Snow. Frosty, what's going on up there?
All right, I am standing on the women's platform here at the Labata Terrace, and let me tell you, it's just over 20 meters high, and that is high enough for me. I mean, we are towering over the Adriatic here. The waves are crashing. It's coming up and down. If I could tell you about anything here, I'd say if Polignano Mare is the spiritual home of cliff diving in Europe, well, this is absolutely the house that Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series lives at. For 13 times in 12 years, we have put up this platform here. And divers have thrown down, represented their skills over and over again. It is such a fantastic place. I mean, the structure is amazing. Standing out over the water from any spot in the town, especially the famous bridge right over there, you can see the lights shining throughout the night. It is a gorgeous testament to how much this place has come to love cliff diving and how much cliff diving loves to come here. Now, for generations, people have been jumping off of the natural amphitheater of stones. You can see the divers already presenting themselves here for the athletes' presentation. I mean, there's so much heart and soul that comes through in this very spot. I feel like I may be standing on what might be the most famous terrace in all of Polignano Mare, and it is an absolute treasure. So different from some of the other locations. The weather conditions have been absolutely nuts. If you want to check that out, you gotta see El Nido. It was one of the most impressive stops, but this one is probably one of my favorites. Check it out. Back to you guys.
Hey, thanks. Nice work up there, Frosty. Keep it safe. He's up there. The wind's blowing around. All the divers are starting to do the presentation. Frosty's like, oh, I'm right in the mix, man. This is pretty fun. But what a view for Frosty up there, Dave. And you've been up on that platform so many times before. And overlooking the sea and the sea of Italian fans must be magical for you.
It's such a cool feeling. Being up on that tower right there with your best buddies, getting introduced to tens of thousands of Italian fans. It's so fun looking out over that natural amphitheater, the sea, the beach, the cliffs. So cool.
Let's once again kind of check out some of that behind the scenes from El Nido. Speaking of magical places, it was unbelievable.
Welcome to the Philippines, mahal kita.
The season opener kicks off with a packed schedule of climbing and diving over an action-filled weekend. Andrea Barnaba is a young and talented new permanent diver. Just like his girlfriend, Elisa Corsetti. There's no room for error. Thumbs up from Barnaba.
I start to do the twist, then I go pike, and I think, too focused on see the water, and I opened too early, started Barani too early, and then I just saw the water after, and I tried to go head first, and it was okay, but I don't know.
After struggling with a knee injury at the end of last season, the American is now back with her most difficult dive. What an entry! What a maneuver! The judges liked it as well. What a reward after a long day in the heat of the Philippines. She is the new cliff diving sensation, Nelly Chukanivska from Ukraine, the youngest diver in the field, and coached by former cliff diver Oleg Vashivinov. Will she make another podium? A great dive. Good scores and second place for the ambitious 18-year-old. It's time for Rhiannan Iffland. 41 wins in 51 starts. Her incredible record. Will we see a new face on top of the podium? Or will Iffland add another trophy to her unbelievable pledge?
Boom. There you go.
There you have it, Rhiannan Iffland.
Another cliff and another crown. Rhiannan Iffland continues to dominate this sport.
The perfect dive when it matters most. Rhiannan Iffland demonstrates her mental and physical strength, along with unwavering perseverance.
That was crazy.
The first podium of the season goes to Iffland, Arnett and Chukanivska. Iffland showcases the best dive of the competition in round 4, adding 1 more point to her series standings total. Jonathan Paredes has the second lowest difficulty of all divers, so if he wants to join the podium, he needs perfection. Great scores for Paredes. Next, Konstantin Popovic with the hardest dive of the competition. A degree of difficulty, 5.8. The Romanian only needs low scores to take the lead. That was a big splash. And now the legend himself, Gary Hunt. He knows everything there is to know about cliff diving.
What?
No way!
The legend of Gary Hunt rises again.
Watch this. I've got something to prove.
Come on.
It's Gary Hunt on top. What an ending of a spectacular and demanding season opener in El Nido.
It's like diving on a postcard every time you go there. Much different contrast in El Nido, Dave, than here when you have the fans in the crowd of Italy. There it was silence.
Absolutely, you said it.
Lagoons.
Yeah, but you could see from the images, I mean, how beautiful is that place, Trace?
Yeah.
I mean, staying in El Nido on the island of Palawan, it was just incredible. We got our birthday boy, Catalin Preda, right here, raising his country flag. Happy birthday, Mr. Preda.
That behind-the-scenes El Nido footage, you can also see more of that on Red Bull TV.
He had a tough time in the Philippines. He had a hard crash in the first round of training. He had to push through pain all the way through. But that action in the Philippines is one of the best you're ever going to see from the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. We had one event in 2019. The second edition was just a few months ago. Catch all that action on Red Bull TV. I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's one of my all-time favorite stops. It goes right up there with the 2013 finale in Krabi, Thailand. Southeast Asia is just one of those magical places, Trace. I mean, it's the water, it's the land, it's the little islands, it's the feeling, the culture is amazing, the people are beautiful and friendly. It was just so much fun.
Well, we're about to see round 4 begin here in a minute, starting with the women, followed by the men. A champion will be crowned here at the second stop of 4 in the 2025 season. From the beautiful Puglia region and Polignano Mare, the most visited stop in the history of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. So round 4 of the women and men coming up. houses are literally rising from the rocks. This is the heart of European cliff diving. A throwdown showdown.
Oh, no way.
What?
You can't script this.
Polignano Mare delivers again. Ready to rock. It's stop number 2 of the 2025 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series from the breathtaking town of Polignano Mare, one of the most unique sporting arenas in the world. I'm Trace Worthington alongside Red Bull Cliff Diving veteran Dave Colturi. No stranger to this area, one of your favorite dive spots, Dave.
Absolutely, Trace, and that's a reason. This beautiful beach here, the surrounding balconies, the cliffs across from the platform, full of spectators, creating a natural amphitheater for our divers flying through the sky.
The journey kicked off in 2025 in Nido Philippines. What a magical location. Polignano Mare here is stop number 2. Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina marks stop number 3, and then the grand finale will be in Boston, USA. Right now it's about stop number 2 in the beautiful town of Polignano Mare, Italy. Gary Hunt, 102nd start, 47 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series wins. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, along with this woman, Rhiannan Iffland, 53rd start, 42 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series wins. Can she do it again? Now, Rhi won in El Nido. This is her dive there, Dave, along with Gary Hunt.
Absolutely, Trace. Experience was crowned king and queen of the Philippines. Iffland and Hunt taking that top spot. You'll see Nelly Chukanivska and Kaylee Arnett on the podium with her. Gary coming through with that classic back triple quad, crushing it. He took a big break, and he came back crowned champion beginning of this new season.
Here's what they both had to say about their early season success.
I think one of the hardest challenges of a champion is to stay a champion. And by that, I mean to keep the motivation. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to find again why you love the sport, and I've managed to do that over the last 15 years. It's not always been up, up, up. It's there's been ups and downs, and I'm hoping that this is a start of an up.
42 wins out of 52 starts, it's still shocking to me. I think it shows that I'm persistent. I think it shows that I am a competitor, and I think it also shows that I really love this sport. And yeah, we're not done yet. We're going to keep having fun, and we're going to keep on rocking and rolling.
Both Rhiannan Iffland and Gary Hunt, greatest of all time in this sport. So chill as always. Beautiful day in Polignano Mare, Italy, as we get ready for round number 4. 11 women, 10 men. And if you're just getting into Red Bull cliff diving for the first time, welcome. Let's show you how this year's competition format works.
Each Red Bull cliff diving event features 8 permanent and 4 wildcard divers per gender. There are 4 rounds of diving, with varying levels of difficulty. The panel of 5 judges has less than 3 seconds to evaluate the parts of each dive. The judges then award scores from 0 to 10. The highest and lowest scores are eliminated, and the remaining 3 added together. This total, multiplied by the degree of difficulty, gives the dive score. And all 4 dives are added together for the event score. Finally, series points are awarded at every event, with a bonus point for the best dive of the competition. At the end of the series, the divers with the highest series points are awarded the King Kahikili Trophy.
And in the 15 years of the World Series, 2 women and 6 men have earned that trophy. As we look at Elisa Cassetti, the local Italian favorite, walking up to the platform. Very unique path to the Labate home platform. And there's Kaylee Arnett, the strong diver from the United States, earning a permanent diver spot for this 2025 season. Great warm-up behind the scenes. 3 rounds of diving have concluded. Dave, get us up to speed on what went down before round 4.
Some amazing diving so far. Here's Kaylee Arnett's first round dive. The perfect combination of power and grace. So well done. There she is, throwing up the hands. And here's Elisa Cassetti in round 2, handling the waves like a pro. I love this reverse flip in 3 positions, the pike, then the fly, tucking down towards the water. This was a very challenging day, Trace, because the waves were so high, and she slices through the Adriatic Sea. Huge scores from Cassetti. Now, the big story of the day was actually Morgan Herculano, a wild card with only 4 starts, coming in and finishing in 3rd place after 2 rounds. A very strong start. She's been working super hard in Fort Lauderdale with Coach Stephen Lebeau. The hard work is paying off. She's now doing very well. Here's Lisa Faulkner in round 3. She had a tough day 1, but she came back with this huge handstand, crushing that dive. It's one of the hardest dives in the women's round. A back handstand, flipping and twisting. She needed this to leapfrog from the bottom of the rankings up towards the top. Lisa has huge potential. If she hits her 4th round dive, Trace, she could be on the podium in her very first debut competition.
Interesting to see Rhiannan Iffland walking up to the platform. Great camaraderie amongst the divers. This distinctive dive location, the history, architecture, that walk to the diver spot from the beach. It's like an open-air museum, Dave, through the cobblestone walkways. It's beautiful. Conditions, sunny, a little bit breezy. That's what's caused the rough seas out here, about 29 degrees Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit. The water temp nice and warm, 24 Celsius, 78 Fahrenheit. Adriatic Sea, and that is the Lama Manakile Beach, very popular here in the town of Polignano Mare. It is packed, thousands here to watch the world's best cliff divers. The judges high up on the platform removed them from the boat today for obviously reasons with the rough seas. Jeff Arbin's in the house from Australia. Valerio Palazzo of Italy. Sam Dorman, the Olympic silver medalist in diving from the United States, is here. Marianne Reif, and the head judge today, Antonio Martinez of Mexico. So they have an interesting angle and a very difficult job to do today, Dave. They don't look at monitors or anything. There's no replay in this sport. It's straight up.
It's all live. And again, that challenging job that the judges have being so far away from the entry. They got their work cut out for them.
Those wondering why Molly Carlson is a DNF, she removed herself from the competition. A slight injury, just her foot left the platform 2 days ago in training. Awkward. She bruised her foot, so she removed herself from the competition. She's just going to heal up. She's doing all right, though. So there's the start list. It is the lowest score from the first 3 rounds that go up to the highest score. In that case, Rhiannan Iffland will be the last to go and last to dive in the women's 4th and final round. What stands out to you, Dave?
Oh, right there, Lisa Faulkner going 10th. She had a rough day 1, but she nailed that handstand dive. Now she's sitting in 3rd place. For a wildcard diver to podium on her very first debut, I don't know if it's ever happened, Trace. That's unreal.
You got to have all 4 rounds consistent to make that happen, though. We've had 3 rounds in the books. That's the position that they're in coming into round 4. A lot can change. We'll talk about the rough seas momentarily as we are about to get underway with women's round number 4. Their platform, you see 2 platforms right there. The women's platform is 21 meters, 70 feet off the Adriatic. The one above is the men's platform at 27 meters, 90 feet. So we will check out 11 women since Molly Carlson is a scratch. 10 men. We have 2 that had slight injuries that removed, Sergio Guzman and Archie Biggin. So 10 men will compete. But right now, it is America's Melee Carpenter, the 37-year-old, one of 8 women to earn a permanent diver spot in 2025, Dave.
Yeah, Melee's going to do a back triple with 2 twists, 4.4 DD. One of the highest DDs. She actually has the highest total in the entire competition. Melee's got her work cut out for her being in the lowest spot coming into this final round. But with big DD, she can do it.
She was in 4th place. She landed in 4th in Philippines. She's got the goods. And here we go.
Solid, Melee.
4th round. Melee Carpenter drilling one into the Adriatic. And a lot of people who just showed up are like, wow, that is high off the water and so impressive. Maylee Carpenter to kick things off.
Welcome to cliff diving, Trace. That was so cool. I caught up with Maylee on the bridge this morning. I asked her how she was doing. She's like, I'm fine, no biggie. I was like, dude, you know it's super windy and wavy here, right? Cool as a cucumber. She even missed her third round dive, but that doesn't throw her off here, Trace. She comes in round 4, biggest pressure of the day, and she still throws it down. One of the hardest dives in the women's competition. A huge takeoff, getting those arms through, jumping, flipping and twisting at the same time is a very difficult technique. Then she squares the twist, goes into another somersault, and now she's got to find her way. That last maneuver called a Branny, getting her feet on the water. It was a little bit of short of vertical there. She's got that grimace on her face, riding back from the jet ski. That short entry might show us some mediocre scores from the judges here.
So 5 judges, the high and the low or toss, the remaining 3 multiplied by the degree of difficulty. So in yellow, 79.20, that's the score on her 4th round. So that will add together with the first 3 rounds, and Carpenter in the lead right now at the moment. Of course, Orlando Duque, the legendary Orlando Duque, our Red Bull cliff diving sport director, retired from official competition in 2019 after 13 world titles and winner of 9 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series events. The epitome of cliff diving, that guy, right?
Absolutely,
he's
the godfather.
Like, hey, that is cliff diving. Am I looking at cliff diving? No, I'm looking at Orlando.
People still ask me, do you know the guy with the ponytail? He's the man. So great to have him with us in the sport. Now being the sport director, he takes care of so many things, really looking after the divers.
Yeah. All right, so Orlando keeping things cool, make sure the divers are safe, and everything's on par and on schedule. Iris Schmidbauer, 29-year-old German, returns to the World Series after giving birth to a baby girl, Leilani, in August of 2024. Leilani is here, just saw her this morning.
Look at that balance point. Woo! Well done, Iris. Rolling a little bit over, but staying tight enough that it doesn't throw up too much splash. Now, Iris, this was her first location back in 2016. She now has 27 starts under her belt. Big smiles for her. Way to take it in stride. 7s from the judges, a 6.5. That's going to get thrown out, Trace. Do we just keep the 3 middle scores? Very well done, Iris.
Schmidbauer trying to put a solid competition to try to earn that permanent diver spot for next season. Wildcard divers, permanent divers. Iris Schmidbauer, though. Great dive.
Absolutely. She sits back and leans a little bit too far away from the tower, and that horizontal momentum is going to carry her a little bit over on the entry. Right here, you see those hips drop back behind her, and the shoulders lean into the takeoff. Just a little bit away, and that energy is going to carry through all the way to the final maneuver here. After she does the Branny, she's going to close her arms and keep rotating just a little bit too much. The feet come underneath, the hips go out behind her, throws up a little bit of a splash. All in all, well done, Iris.
Getting the ride back to the beach. Get an 81.9 on that particular dive. You add all 4 together throughout the last 2 days, 269.40. So now Schmidbauer of Germany will set the pace as she walks what we like to call the angry snake, Dave, that floating dock with the waves. Hardest part of the competition.
Oh, she handled it like a pro right there, keeping her balance.
One of Konstantin Popovic's biggest injuries was off that thing.
Yeah, he broke his foot a few years ago.
Yeah. And if you're wondering why Molly Carlson is not here, well, let's listen in on what she had to say about it.
This was her training dive, Trace. She overjumped her approach. Look at this. She comes through, barely got her foot on the tower, slips off, and thankfully she landed on her feet. Now, we caught up with Molly, and she was able to tell us exactly what happened.
At the end of the day, you can't be diving for other people. You can't dive to people please, like, oh, they invited you here, you have to dive. Like, at the end of the day, your health comes first, and for me, not diving is the healthiest thing I can do right now, and I think I want some time to just heal my body and my mind as well. I think I had a lot of nightmares about that dive now, and now I'm going to have to revisit that to be able to do the next competition and get over that fear, so it's all a lot.
Hey, Dave, you told me just a half hour ago before this, you're like, I I haven't seen anything like that even in training.
It was so surprising, Trace. I mean, to overjump the forward approach and slip off the tower, I'm so glad she used her reflexes and her skills to find her feet. I caught up with her and had dinner with her last night. She's still in good spirits. She flew home early to take care of the foot, make sure she can still finish the season strong. We wish Molly all the best and can't wait to see her dive again.
Speaking of good spirits, Kaylee Arnett, always having fun on the platform. 32-year-old American. Today only her 7th ever World Series start. She's hit the podium, Dave, 4 out of the 6 times. Still in search for her first win, capable of that. Texas-born, living in Las Vegas, involved in diving since she was 8 years old, and she used to compete in rodeos back in the day when she was a kid.
Oh, she's got a long CV, so many skills on there. This is a weird spot for Kaylee to be diving so early in the last round. That means she didn't do well in the first couple rounds of diving, but this is a big dive. This
Well, she
reverse
led after
triple
the
pike.
first round, but then the second round she dropped in the ranks.
Exactly. Let's see if she can come back.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Oh, not a bad comeback there. Here is Schmidbauer, leader right now. She likes it. Now she made, Kaylee anyway, made her debut the second stop of last season. So it's, you know, not that long ago. In Boston, she placed second there. Thought it was rookie luck, Dave, but then she backed it up with 2 more podiums after that. Now a permanent diver on the World Series.
Yeah, definitely not beginner's luck. Kaylee is a pro at these moves. She's been really working on the takeoff. Now, it's hard to see from this water entry, but so cool to see the reverse 3 somersaults coming down, slightly over-rotating, but staying tight enough to take the water down with her. This is what she's been working on. She's been having trouble getting too close to the tower, but she pushes those hips up and away and then folds into the pike. To do a reverse somersaulting dive in the pike position is very difficult, Trace. You're jumping forward, rotating back towards the tower. A lot of divers will do that in tuck, but to do it in pike is extremely difficult. Kaylee's one of the few divers to ever do it. Very well done, Kaylee.
5 judges, the high and the lower toss, a score between 1 and 10. The remaining 3, which is a 7.5 and 2 sevens, multiplied by the 4.1 degree of difficulty. So 88 on that dive. When you add all 4 rounds together, 281.05 for the American Kaylee Arnett. So that'll be the score to beat. And she is only 3rd one to go. Don't forget to follow us on Red Bull Cliff Diving. On Instagram, check out Red Bull Cliff Diving's Facebook page, and of course subscribe to our YouTube channel. All the photos, videos posted over the last couple days here in Polignano, Mare, Italy. We look at a good view of how the divers get to that platform and a good overhead shot of this beautiful town known as the Pearl of the Adriatic, perched dramatically on those limestone rocks above the Adriatic Sea here in the region of Puglia. Madeleine Bayonne, next to dive, 28-year-old of France. What she got going on here for a dive, Dave?
This is back 3 somersaults with 1 twist. This is a brand new dive for her, Trace. She learned this in training with a thumb injury. You see that brace on her left hand. This was a big deal for Maddie. She debuted it in training, first time in competition. You got this, girl. Allez. Yeah, that's how you do a new dive, Trace.
Brilliant entry there by Madeleine Bayonne, the first French female ever to compete on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. In her 6th ever World Series appearance, Dave, coming from a gymnastics background, bunch of 5s across the board. Head judge Antonio Martinez gives her a 6. She'll chuck that out.
Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised by those 5s, Trace. I thought it was 6s and 7s. This view might show us something different. It was a very powerful takeoff, twisting and somersaulting. Here's the entry. It was a little bit short. It's hard to see from that aerial view that we first saw. She didn't quite get her chest and her shoulders up in line. Otherwise, a pretty impeccable dive. Jumping high, twisting over the shoulder, folding into the pike, getting her chest down to her legs, somersaulting twice, finding the water, branding. But right here's where she gets into trouble. She doesn't quite get those shoulders and hips in line, so she's short, and that's why the judges didn't like it.
You see the safety divers down below, keeping everything safe. That's an important role here in our cliff diving competition.
Absolutely. One of our most frequently asked questions, what are those divers doing down there? They're there for immediate safety and medical support. In the case of a bad landing, a lot of things can go wrong. You can tear muscles, you can have internal hemorrhaging, you can lose consciousness. They're there to take care of you, get you to the safety teams that are on standby, all here for the athletes.
So Bayonne moves into 4th with that score. See where that keeps her and holds her down. So Bayonne is 4th to go of 11. So Chukanievska, 3rd place in the Philippines. Outstanding dive. Not an easy location right there.
Oh my gosh, Trace. For an 18-year-old to come in and perform like this in one of the most challenging locations. She ends up on the podium 2 times in a row. The season closer last year in Sydney and now the season opener here in the Philippines. She just absolutely destroyed her dives in a very challenging season opener. Look at her hoisting that trophy next to Arnett and Iffland. She's got a chance to put her name in the legendary rulebook and maybe on the King Kakila trophy one day.
That's pretty cool. I mean, standing next to 8-time Red Bull cliff diving World Series champion Rhiannan Iffland. This has to be an honor, one of her idols, and looking up and standing next to her on the podium. The youngest in the field of female cliff divers today, and the youngest ever athlete to earn a ticket to be a permanent diver. First ever teenager on the women's side.
Absolutely, the most impressive junior to turn pro. I remember when she came in as a young teenager doing junior high diving from 12, 15, 18 meters, and she immediately hops up to 20 and starts doing these difficult dives and taking them down well. She's so mentally focused. She takes every opportunity, every failure as a lesson learned. She moves forward and gets stronger every single event.
Check this out. The only arm stand dive in women's round 4. I mean, Dave, how do you do this?
This is insane. I love this shot.
With the wind.
Holding a handstand 22 meters above the water.
Come on.
At 18. And that's how you do it.
Drilling that, the 2022 Junior World High Diving Champion showing up here at the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
Such a strong dive. The only handstand of the round, getting 8s and 7.5s from the judges.
Sam Dorman in the middle, Olympic silver medal winner in diving. He likes it, giving her an 8. Unreal. She got inspired by the way Dave, after attending Orlando Decay's Under My Wings development camp in Mostar in 2023.
Absolutely. It's so great that Red Bull has that Under My Wings development camps for the junior divers who want to turn pro, and Nellie's one of the few who's taken it all the way to the top. Her and Simone Leathead also did that together. Now we've got Nellie doing a back arm stand pike. Pushing off your hands and rotating into a pike position is very difficult, Trace. Trying to create enough rotation without going too far away from the tower, but still getting the legs up in front of you and not hitting your feet on the tower that you just pushed off of from your hands. Very impressive. Really well done on finding the water, going through the entry at a vertical line. Bravo, Nellie.
So Chukanievska looking to lock in a top 3 back-to-back for this season. We'll see if that 285-25 does it. So again, all 4 rounds are added together. 2 rounds yesterday, 2 rounds today. And it was calm during the first day of training. There wasn't one wave that we saw, Dave. It was really super calm. So
it's crazy
to make that adjustment yesterday and today for the divers, it's unreal.
The difference from arrival day and the first training day to the first 2 competition days, it was glass. There was no wind, there were no waves, the divers had perfect conditions for training, and then all of a sudden Polignano was like, nope, you're gonna have to deal with this.
Here's Morgan Herculano from Switzerland in her 4th start, the first Swiss female to compete on the World Series. She's a Harvard grad with a degree in economics and a secondary in energy and environment. And to top that, she speaks 5 languages. And to top that, she's launching off a tower here in Polignano, Mare. That's 21 meters, 70 feet off the Adriatic Sea.
I think that's what you
Talented.
call definition of a hustler. Yes, Trace. Now, this is a new dive for Morgan. She learned this in the spring. She's debuting it here in Polignano Mare. Inward triple half pike. She's done it many times in Fort Lauderdale in practice with Coach Stephen LeBoux, but this isn't practice. This is it. This is in Polignano. This is with the waves and the wind and the competition pressure, the nerves, the fans. Can you take what you did at home in practice and put it into the competition? The true test of mental mettle and fortitude.
Yes, that is grip tape, by the way. with a logo on it. A lot of people ask that.
Morgan.
Right, Herculano coming in a little bit what you would call, Dave, heavy on that one with that splash.
A little bit of a splash there, yeah. Yeah, she's not going to be happy because she's done it so well in training so many times. She's still got a smile on her face, giving the crowd and the camera a kiss, but she's going to be a little disappointed with this one.
You come in from a traditional diving background, Dave, like Morgan, and a lot of the divers, right? Like Simone Leadhead and many, many more that we'll talk about throughout the show, but this is only her fourth start. Right? And then dealing with the waves and everything. What's that like for some of these divers?
It's very, very challenging. And honestly, for only her fourth start, she did very well in this competition. She was in third place after round 2. She handled herself very well. This new dive is giving her some trouble. She just cut down the takeoff a little bit. She's been working on trying to jump that up over the top. She still had a chance here, but she didn't quite get the entry. She puts her feet underneath her and the hips go behind, and that's what's going to throw up the water. Now, if she does this a few more times in competition with a little bit less wavy conditions, it might be a little bit easier for her. Divers were calling it Russian roulette. The waves are just all over the place, Trace.
All right, there is the divers waiting. You have Arnett still in the lead with 281.05. So that is the score to beat. Herculano waiting her scores, 5 judges. Score between that 1 and 10. Herculano, now a researcher at Harvard Business School.
Curtsy, well done. Ooh, looks like she's holding her heart or holding her ribs.
All right, 6s and a 5.5 for Herculano. So third place, 269.95, most likely not on the podium here in this competition, as Herculano is 6 to go of 11. So if you just joined us, this is the women's 4th and final round. Rhiannan Iffland will dive last. Check out our city lights, Polignano Mare. What a beautiful place, the most visited of any stops on the World Series over the years. Puglia region, awesome pizza, Dave.
Delicious.
Ice cream's awesome, and Domenico Modugno, that statue that sits there, everyone takes their picture by, the interpreter of the famous song Volare, which means to fly, which is appropriate for this event.
2-time Grammy winner.
2-time
Record of the year, title of the year. There he is.
There he is.
Well done, Modugno.
How many photos have been taken by him?
Oh, everybody goes. You got to hit that pose.
I did it this morning, actually. I'm guilty as charged.
Arms open. Nel blu, di pinto di blu.
But it is a beautiful spot, folks. Not a far drive from Bari, which is where everyone flies into, a short drive from Rome. And to give you a better perspective, the Achilles heel of the Italian boot. And the famous bridge right there, that historic bridge that you see down below, it is awesome where everyone's packed in. Of course, the beach. There's not an open spot to watch this competition in this small town right now. The world's best in Red Bull cliff diving as we look at Jeannie van Katwijk, Netherlands, 40-year-old. First podium last season, that second place in Northern Ireland. So she's used to the rough conditions.
She is. It's been a tumultuous trip here to Italy for Jeannie. She got rocked on her first 2 training dives on Friday. She rotated very far over with her arms above her head. She's been nursing some injuries, but she turned it on in the competition. Now she's got this running takeoff. She's got a mantra with Coach Stephen Lebeau, stick to the plan, Trace. And that's what she's got to do here with the nerves, the wind, and the waves. Don't let them bother you. Stay focused, stick to the plan.
She's 40 years old. She loves when I mention that. I think it's impressive that she's 40. I would not even be able to do it. When I was 40, I would never dive off this thing. Are you kidding me? She does a great job. So strong. Here we go. All right, coming in a little hot there. It's Jeannie van Katwijk. Kaylee Arnett on the left-hand side. She leads with a 281. And that most likely is still going to hold on top. So shaken up, and that's why the safety divers are down there, Dave.
Absolutely. It looks like she landed pretty short there. We got the safety divers holding her so she can catch her breath.
It's the biggest question you as a diver gets asked, I'm sure, right? You meet a group of people, you're having a drink, you're having dinner, and they say, Do people get hurt in this sport?
Absolutely.
And how did they get hurt?
Yeah, it's the impact. That's the hardest thing. 10 G's of force. You're going so fast through the air, and then you hit that water like a wall of bricks, Trace. And if you do not land vertical like Jeannie just did, pretty hunched over short, she's taking that impact to her chest and her face. That does not feel good. She's going to take her time. It looks like she's at least still conscious and she's breathing, but she's going to need some help getting out of the water. There she is, getting on the jet ski. We love to see that. That was a tough one, Trace. She comes in with a strong running approach, cuts it down a little bit and throws wide. If she has those narrow arms and comes out a little bit later, she'll be able to line it up. But she was a little bit wide on the throw, which made her slow. And then she comes out early here and stares at the water too long. That Branny maneuver, she flies over the top and stretches out. She should be piking down early. Look at this takeoff. She leans forward. Her hands are a little too wide. And she's just a little bit slow into that first twist. She goes into the pike. She needs to grab and hold and squeeze a little bit longer. She's looking at the water now. She's flying over the top. Here she should be piking. She needs to do that earlier because she got into trouble. She didn't quite get her feet underneath her or her shoulders up. She takes the water to the face. That's definitely going to hurt. Thankfully, she's brave and she's strong. She's going to live to fight another day.
Jeannie Hadvik coming in third place with a 274.0 after you add all 4 rounds together. So there's a great shot of the bridge. Italian high diving as we get ready for our next competitor. Been increasing in their talent pool and putting a few youngsters on the map. Let's hear more from former World Series diver Alessandro De Rose on how it's going.
So at the moment I'm one of the coach of the Italian Federation. I'm helping Nicole, that is the head coach, to grow up the team. I'm the specialist of the Barani because I study a little bit more on the trampolining, so I learn the technique and the way to learn the Barani on the trampolining, and then we work together for let the guys do the best they can from the platform. We were really lucky because with the project that we have in the 2022 with the European Championship, Oscar Bertone, that is our technical director of the Team Italy, accepted the project of Markus Stupner, where he was asking if he could create a team. So he asked to Nicole if she wants to participate and be the coach, and all 4 together we try to create a way to training the 27 meter and the 20 meter in a safe way. Then Federation help us because they pay a lot of training camp in Area 47 where they had the opportunity to dive and going slowly up. And it's a great thing because I can see that a lot of divers, they don't have the same luck that we have. And this is how we are growing up, and I hope that we're going to be bigger and bigger.
Dave, one of those sports tough to build a program, especially with resources, 27-meter platforms, that are 90 feet up.
Absolutely, Trace. And Alessandro was being real humble there. This program was built on the heels of his success, winning this competition back in 2017. Now we've got local heroes like Elisa Cossetti and Andrea Barnaba on the men's side. You just heard the crowd go wild for Cossetti. The Italian high diving program is very special. It's one of the few federations that really supports their divers. They travel to Fort Lauderdale and Area 47 very often. That's in Austria. They take training very seriously. They're high performance, all in and all out. And they've been doing a very good job. They've had a slow start with degree of difficulty. Elisa Cossetti has the lowest in the women's field, but she's been working very hard on new dives. She's going to increase that DD very soon. So now Elisa needs 6.1 from the judges for first. And this is an easy dive for her. This is one of her favorites. Let's see if she can do it on cue.
On cue it is. Elisa Cossetti, the local Italian diver and fan favorite. Her 15th start on the World Series. Quick correction on the leaderboard, Dave. It's Chukaniewska, who we just saw in the #1 spot with a 285.25. It's Arnett in second. with her 281.05. So we'll see if the 6.5s and 1.7 will pay off for Cassetti. Tons of podium potential with that third place last year that we witnessed in Oslo. Break this down.
Yeah, she got those 6.1s from the judges with 6.5s. She just slightly missed the bottom there. With this being an easy dive, she can't afford the low scores. These were enough to take first now, but there's a lot of women still left to go. She throws down into the somersault, grabbing the legs, closing the pike, all beautiful so far. She finds the Branny, arms down to the side, working on that like Alessandro had said, but this lineup just not quite getting the vertical entry. Shoulders and chest are down towards the water, throwing water up. Big topic all weekend has been the waves, Trace.
Yeah.
It's so hard in these conditions. When the waves are rocking around, sometimes the platforms, it's set at 22 meters, but if a wave comes up and cuts it out from underneath you, it's going to be 21, maybe 20 meters. And then if it washes out, now we're looking at 23, 23.5.
Look at this, first place, 289.95 after you add all 4 rounds together. So that will put Cassetti, the Italian and fan favorite, into the top spot with 3 to go. So will that hang on to a podium position? So Elisa Cassetti. But first, Lisa Faulkner making her debut on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. And here's what she had to say about this exciting moment and opportunity to be here.
My first dive from the Red Bull Cliff Diving platform. I am nervous, I have to be honest, but I'm so excited. I feel like I have the privilege to be able to train in Fort Lauderdale every day, whenever I want, and I know that I've put the time in and I'm ready for this competition. I just need to translate what we've been doing there to here, and I'm confident that that'll happen, and I'm super excited.
So cool to see Lisa coming on the series. She's doing such a good job in her first competition, coming into this final round in 3rd place. That's incredible, Trace.
Already tied up in the top 3 right now with Cassetti in the lead. Shukanievska, Arnett, we'll see now in her debut. Lisa Faulkner has a chance to get up on the podium. What's the degree of difficulty look like here, Dave?
This back triple pike is 3.9. Now what you're going to see out of Lisa, she's going to finish this dive so high and come out so early, it's going to be very easy for Lisa to add a somersault to this dive, which I actually expect relatively soon. Now if you do a back quad pike, Trace, that's 5.0. That's 0.6 higher than any dive that's ever been done for the women before. She would be a huge leaps and bounds above the other divers if she does that. Lisa has huge potential, not to put too much pressure on her shoulders, but she's been training so well in Fort Lauderdale with Coach Stephen LeBoux. She's been training like a machine, and she's been crushing her dives in practice. Let's see if she can do it in the competition. Coming out a little bit late there, Trace. Just coasting over. Maybe the energy, maybe the nerves, maybe the waves. It's all hard to take on competition day. She did very well in round 3. That's what brought her up into the 3rd spot going into this round. Now 6.5s from the judges on a dive like that. She's going to stay hopefully in this podium spot. We'll see what she can do. But as a wild card, her first debut, these 4 dives, she can be very proud of this. Look at this back triple through the arches of the bridge. Again, she's coming out so early. She actually even needed to come out a little bit earlier. She pushed her feet towards the rocks. She should have been down at the water. She's got such a strong takeoff with this gymnastics background, so much experience in diving. She does a beautiful jump. She was actually a little close to the tower there, Trace. Her toes came by pretty tight. She flies here. She brings her feet down. She tries to hold and stretch, but she just goes a little bit over there with her feet under her, in front of her, and her hips going back behind her, throwing up a little bit of water. 6.5s from the judges, not too bad.
It's kind of, you know, she does have great potential, as you said, right? But it is like coming up from college football ranks, and then you're in the NFL, and it's like, welcome to the NFL. You
Absolutely.
know? Like a little bit different.
That's a podium, Trace.
Oh, 299.85, and she does it. She gets on the podium in her debut. guaranteed a podium with 2 divers remaining.
Oh, yes, Trace.
Wow.
So proud of her. That's going to get her another wild card spot for sure.
I made the call 4 days ago when you and I met. You said, don't be surprised if she's on the podium.
Don't sleep on Faulkner.
You said, don't be surprised if she wins.
Dude, if she got 3rd at her first stop here, I'm going to call it right now. She's going to win one of the last 2 events of the year.
All right.
Mark my words, Trace.
Right. You guys heard it. 299.85 for Faulkner, the 37-year-old rookie on the World Series, making her debut as we look at that beautiful shot under the historic bridge encompassing the narrow arches. Massive columns. Loving this place, and loving it is Faulkner from the United States. Simone Leathead, new permanent diver on the series, the 22-year-old Canadian. Had a beautiful earlier round dive, Dave. Round 2 off the balcony.
Off the balcony of the Mare house. This has actually been the highest scored dive of the competition so far, Trace, which gets you an extra points in the overall standings. This was so well done. Almost 0 splash coming from the water on this. Simone trains back home in Montreal with Coach Stefan and teammate Molly Carlson. She's so strong in the air there. I love that early pike out from the tuck, and her fly and her branny is second to none, and that's from all that training and that world-class coaching. Happy smiles in the boat. She did so good in round 2, and she crushed her round 3 dive, which was a debut, a revenge dive from crashing in New Zealand. She comes back and smashes the front quad half pike to come up and be second, now leading into the last round.
But leading right now is Faulkner of the United States, making her debut. This is like coming off the bench. Again, when we reference and have comparisons to football, coming off the bench, you get the chance of being a starting quarterback because the lead quarterback gets hurt and you're stepping up in the fourth period and just knocking it down, making touchdowns.
Absolutely, Trace. This could be the new Tom Brady of the sport right here. Lisa Faulkner coming in, taking her wild card chance and getting on the podium in her first ever competition. I think it has been done a few times before. I remember Catalin Preda getting on the podium his first time. Molly Carlson probably did it. If I know Rhi as well as I do, she probably podiumed in one of her first events. But for Lisa to do it in the competition, the sport that it is today with how competitive it is, that is so impressive. Now we've got Leathead here with this inward triple half pike. Solid, Trace.
Oh, here we go. The heat is on as Simone Leathead, making her 14th ever appearance on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, absolutely evaporates into the Adriatic. Under pressure, a bunch of 8s and 8.5 that should pull into the top spot.
There we go. We call her Simone, dropping that money on her last dive. That's going to take the lead and get her at least a silver medal here in Polignano. Well done, Simone. She had a tough start in the Philippines, and now she's coming back strong. This beautiful inward triple half pike, finding the water there. I love that water shot cam. Really good on the takeoff here, throwing down towards the water, pushing those hips up and over the top. She's got a beautiful pike position from years of traditional diving. She does the branny, arms out to the side, finds the water, and she does a great job last minute getting the shoulders and hips in line to take the water down with her. Bravo, Simone.
Eights across the board for Leathead, 93. That does it for her. 333. A huge score. 34 points ahead of Faulkner and comfortably in the lead with 1 diver remaining. So Simone Leathead with 3 podiums in her World Series career. No wins yet. Could this be the day?
Maybe.
Tough. Rhiannan Iffland's up next.
Last night after dinner, the last thing I heard Molly Carlson say to Simone Leathead was, "You're gonna slay, babe." And slay she did.
She was behind Rhiannan Iffland at the final stop in Sydney last November of the 2024 finale. Second place there. Everybody's chasing Rhiannan Iffland. It is so hard to get by her and stand a little bit higher than her on the podium. So Rhiannan Iffland getting ready to go. A final diver on the women's side. Now the 8-time Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion. It's going to be tough to beat her today here, Dave, because she's won 8 out of the 9 times she's competed at this location. You pointed it out earlier. The only time she didn't get a win was she got second. So it's like,
exactly. Not a bad resume.
Yeah, not bad.
We got anxious Simone here watching Rhi, the queen. I get asked all the time, why is Rhi so good, Trace? And honestly, it's the mental game. You know, all these women are so talented, so physically strong, so brave, so focused, but Rhi can turn that switch and get in the zone and stay in a flow state better than anybody I've ever seen. Now this last dive, the inward triple half tuck, a little bit lower on DD, only 3.7. Average needed for first is 7.6. Now, honestly, Trace, that's easy peasy, lemon squeezy for Rhiannan Iffland. I will be shocked if she doesn't get that 7.6, but anything can happen. And with these conditions, the wind, the waves, you never know. Final diver. Look at all those birds flying around. Arms up. Can the queen stay on top?
There you go, Rhiannan Iffland. It's just is over and over and over. Rhiannan Iffland, always under pressure, always delivers. Another masterclass by the greatest of all time. A bunch of 8.5s and 8. Rhiannan Iffland looking at win number 43.
As DJ Khaled would say, another one.
Another one.
No problem for Rhi. It's almost like you expect it at this point, Trace. I mean, this inward triple half tuck for her is just so automatic. I love that straight line kick into the Branny, so much like her trampoline background. She's strong on the takeoff, throwing the arms first, pushing through the toes, getting her hips up and over into the somersault. A clean tuck, grabbing low on the shins. We love to see that. Straight line kick into that trampoline Branny, arms out to the side. And this right here, the consistent entries, that's what she does so well, better than anybody else in the sport. Even better than Gary Hunt, the GOAT on the men's side. Her statistics are unreal. Beyond the diving, she's just fun to be around, Trace. She dances, she sings, she surfs, she hangs. Love Rhi.
Super chill. 50 podiums out of 52 starts. This will be podium 51. There's no question about that. We'll see what the judges think about it. Which position as lead head awaits Rhiannan Iffland's score.
Kisses to the crowd. There's your champ.
Still waiting for the tally. For Rhiannan Iffland, the most decorated female in the history of the World Series, but Simone Leadhead has to be elated. She's sitting up there in the ranks. 92.50 on that dive. You add that with all 4 rounds, and Rhiannan Iffland 341.60 locks it in, seals in another victory. Number 43 in this case. She's won 9 straight at this location.
Unreal statistics, Trace. It's crazy how good she is and how often she can do it.
And anything can happen too. It's like that consistency in this sport. The smallest thing can happen, Dave. You know that, right? But round 1 is where it all began. So a little recap
We're gonna take
how she got it done from A to Z.
All 4 dives. There's that front triple half pike in round 1. Dust in the bottom. Look at the wind from day 1. Those flags are just pinned absolutely horizontal. Strong takeoff for her front triple half pike, closing into that beautiful position. Dusting round 1. Round 2 off the balcony, doing her front double 1.5 twist. She called it her original high dive. She loves that one. Really difficult conditions for the waves in that round 2 dive from the Amore balcony. I love that twist that she does. She does it so well. She's got so much style. That Barani technique coming from trampoline, and this entry right here, she does it so consistently. She laser focused on the water. She always goes in vertical and tight. Round 3, her most difficult dive. The back triple with 2 twists, the highest degree of difficulty dive, shared alongside a few other divers. There's that flag. Crushing the back triple with 2 twists, one of the highest scoring dives. So good, so dynamic, flipping, twisting, and then finding the water. There's so much going on in that dive from 22 meters up above the Adriatic. Round 4, the final, the winning dive, ramping up the crowd. Throwing her arms, getting her hips up over the top. Classic inward triple half pike going in.
Let's hear from her with Frosty.
All right, Rhiannan. I feel like this is how we're always meeting. You just won a round, you won a comp, you won the entire thing. Do you feel that pressure building over time? Is it driving you, or is it getting scary?
Yeah, look, here we are again. We meet again here in Polignano. Yeah, look, the pressure is definitely building. It's always there. I think the main thing is, it's getting harder and harder to hold on to that. Each competition I come to, it gets exhausting to hold on to that pressure, but I have to always take a step back and realize why I started doing this sport in the beginning, and that's to come and dive at amazing places like this. So that definitely helps keep driving me.
Well, they're calling you the Queen of Polignano, which makes a lot of sense. Did you summon these waves here? I mean, it has definitely been putting on a show for us. Do you feel like you're battling nature, or are you finding harmony with it?
Look, I feel like you've always got to be one with the sea. You can never fight against the ocean or the sea. It just never works. It'll never go your way. I definitely didn't wish for these waves. I'd much prefer to dive in nice, calm conditions, but we deal with what we're given, what Mother Nature's given us, and this is what it is today. And yeah, it seemed to have gone my way.
All right, well, you're 2 stops away from potentially winning another King Achille trophy. How does it feel to be such a decorated athlete in such a mind-blowing sport?
Yeah, it feels incredible. Sometimes I really have to take back and assess what I've been doing over the last 9 years and really look at it from the outside in. I'm still pinching myself, and Katrin, a friend of mine, is always telling me the stats, and often I don't believe it. Like, I really don't know how I do it. I just get into this flow state, and I just love to be up there on the platform. And I guess I love to be a competitor as well. It's it always is still sinking in,
Well, we love to watch what you are doing. It's an honor and a privilege. Congratulations. Back to you guys.
Well, Dave, she doesn't just compete, she commands. She talks about being a competitor and the sea. I love the fact that she's talking about the sea and how you can't control it.
Absolutely. It's the same for everybody.
Go with it.
She just handles it better than most.
Yeah. Rhiannan Iffland, she soared, she's stunned, secured the top spot here in Polignano Mare, the 9th time and 9th straight in her World Series career. So Rhiannan Iffland with that 3:41.60 final results. Simone Leadhead, Faulkner, how about that?
Yes, Lisa. Getting on the podium on her first debut. Expect to see more of Faulkner as the season progresses.
Cassetti, the Italian favorite, doing a nice job. Kaylee Arnett still taking that top 6. So great women's final as we look at rounding out into the top 11. Molly Carlson out. If you just joined us later on in the program, she had a slight injury a couple days ago off the platform, just bruised her heel and foot, so she'll be back in action shortly. But the best dive earning 1 more point, which could be pivotal in the overall series points, Dave, is Simone Leadhead off that balcony.
Absolutely, Trace. Yeah, with so few competitions this year, 1 extra point in the standings is a big deal. And Simone just crushes this double half from the balcony, slicing through the water, almost 0 splash coming up on that entry. She's been training so hard back home in Montreal. I love that strong takeoff, quick and out of the tuck into that open pike, arms out to the side. Classic Canadian Branny from head coach Stefan, and dialing it in through the Adriatic Sea. Best dive of the women's competition. Bravo, Simone. Well-earned extra point for the overall standings.
So Rhiannan Iffland with 41 points after 2 stops, looking to secure her 9th King Achille trophy if she keeps it up with 2 stops to go in this season. But Simone Leadhead looking to be in that top 3, and Kaylee Arnett as well. So there you go with the women's series standings. So Faulkner just jumping right up into the ranks in 5th place. That is impressive, trying to earn a permanent position on the World Series for next season. Great women's competition. The men are coming up next. All right, so men coming up shortly here from Polignano, Mare, their 4th and final round. Let's take a look at the spectacular acrobatics of Roberto Mariani on board his electric watercraft. Mariani, 10-time European champion, 2023 freestyle jet ski world champ. True display of power, control, and innovation. Fun stuff. But right now, let's take a look at Tales from the Cliffs and the degree of difficulty versus execution of the dives. A very important topic in cliff diving. Here you go.
Over the past 4 years, we have witnessed a rapid rise in the degree of difficulty across both men's and women's fields in Red Bull cliff diving. One of the most striking examples is Aidan Heslop's staggering 3.5 twisting front quad somersault, which he debuted in 2022. That year, Aidan held the highest degree of difficulty of any man in the series, yet despite this, it was Gary Hunt who ultimately claimed the overall title. With considerably less degree of difficulty, but an exquisite execution and consistently high scores from the judges. While high degree of difficulty dives are just undeniably spectacular, they do come with inherent risks. Not only risk of injury, but also risk of lower scores if that dive isn't performed perfectly. And to make these big dives worthwhile, you're going to need near flawless execution. Gary Hunt has long been the master of striking this balance between risk and reward. He won the first stop in spectacular style, using dives with significantly less degree of difficulty than those performed by Konstantin Popovic, who finished 3rd. So the question remains, what's worth doing? Do you opt for dives with less difficulty but a higher chance of consistent execution? Or do you roll the dice and go all in?
DD versus execution, Trace. That's the game that the divers play. How is it going to go out with the men? Costa's got the biggest, but Gary's so consistent. How are they going to end up?
Well, Gary, has that confidence coming off that El Nido stop, the very first stop of the season. And there is Konstantin Popovic, the 2023 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion. Missing from this competition is the 2024 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion, Aidan Heslop. He's out for this season. He'll be back next season, but let's hear straight from him on how things are going.
I was playing chess and a piece fell on the ground and I bent down to grab it, and that's when I felt my back completely go. At that point, I was pretty scared, Although I was winning competitions and doing very well for myself, it kind of made me a little bit lazy last year. And I think this kind of area that has been injured was probably injured because of the fact that I wasn't working as hard as I should be. Molly asked me a good question actually before the surgery, like, what are you most excited to do? Like, are you excited to get back on 27 again and like high dive and run and do all this? And I was like, no, I'm excited to brush my teeth without pain. Every little step at the moment feels like I've achieved something, no matter how small it is. Here at the APC, when everyone's under one roof, everyone's working for the same team, The people here are the top people in the world. We can't put much weight at all, so anything kind of holding up here or on my back we can't do because it's really just compressing the spine at the minute. And I don't want to come back to high diving if I can't come back 100%, I don't want to come back and do easy dives in pain and come towards the bottom of the ranking every competition, I want to come back and smash everyone.
Sounds like a young Dave Colturi there, not coming back until I'm 100%.
So proud of Aidan. I mean, winning the trophy, suffering an injury, making the wise decision to take it easy and come back stronger.
Tell us about this walkthrough here. Polignano Mare. This is the real deal. Like, you guys walked up to the platform through the plaza.
One of my all-time favorites, Trace. Absolutely.
All right.
Kat was enjoying it. Here he is in the first round. Best dive of the first round, the triple 1.5. crushing it and leading the standings after round one. This is the ultimate comeback from Kat after having a very tumultuous last year and a rough start in the Philippines.
4 rounds total. 3 rounds have went down so far. That was Kat's first dive, like you said. Alexei Prigorov in round 2 lit it up as well.
He absolutely did. Alexei crushing best dive off the balcony. So strong here with the reverse twister, taking it down into the Adriatic. Clapping approval from Konstantin Popovich. I love that reverse twister from Alexei, especially because he's so tall and he's got such long lines. Reverse twist is a very difficult dive. Jumping away from the tower, rotating back, and initiating twist, extremely difficult.
And during golden hour, too. That was a very nice touch. But this was impressive right here. Round 3 dive for Carlos Gimeno earlier today.
The back quint, so strong. Carlos actually has the best dive of the competition so far. His round 2 balcony dive, a handstand, super impressive. But this is what led him to the top so far. Back quint, very high DD, lots of rotations, and just slicing through the water, getting him up towards the top as we go in to this last round.
Look at that beautiful shot and picturesque scenery of Polignano Mare overhead shot. Archie Biggin and Guzman out of the competition. Slight injuries, nothing too crazy, but we're talking about cliff diving. We're talking about the men's platform being 27 meters, 90 feet off the water. So there's the start list. You see Cat Preda, we just saw, running number 6. You have Liechtenstein all the way down to top seed after the 3rd round because he had the highest score. Carlos Gimeno will dive last.
Absolutely.
Anything stand out there with the gents?
Shout out, happy birthday to Kat. He's going 6.
Right.
Birthday today. Cool to see Carlos going last and Jonathan towards the top. He's on a hot streak after struggling for the last couple of years. He's a wild card now. He's trying to get that permanent series position back. And now we're going to start it off with Nikita Fedotov.
Yeah, the Armenian, 30 years old. He's competed at this location, Dave, 6 times since 2021. Has now placed better than 7th here. Currently living in China and really enjoys living there when I spoke to him.
Absolutely. His wife's there. They've got a great life. Nikita's had to do a lot of strategy this offseason. He changed both of his optional dives. This is a back triple-triple. He used to do reverse triple-triple. I was talking about that reverse twist with Alexei. It's such a difficult dive to jump away from the tower, rotate back, and twist at the same time. Now he's going to do back triple-triple. He's got much less DD than he used to have last year.
Degree of difficulty, that means the DD you're talking about. 27 meters, 90 feet. That's always the big story with the men, as we are about to see the first diver go in the 4th and final round. All 4 rounds count. A little bit of wind going there, Dave, you're pointing out with that wind meter. So we'll see how that affects these guys. And you said the women's platform a little more protected than the guys, just because they're up higher around that corner.
Absolutely, Trace. The women's platform built straight out from the balcony. The building's still a little bit higher, but the men's platform is higher than anything else around it. So the wind is just crushing the guys as they stand on the edge of the platform.
Wind's 24 kilometers per hour and about 14 miles per hour. So it's pretty breezy up there. All right, so Fedotov opens up the 4th round for the men. The pretty heavy landing. I'm learning the lingo over all these years. With the heavy landing, you can hear it, you can see it, Dave, you can explain it.
Absolutely, and Nikita is feeling it right now.
Yeah.
That is tough. He over-rotated a little bit on that, getting 6 bingo from the judges, all of them in agreement there. But that's tough for Nikita. He did a good job in the beginning. See all this action from the water level, twisting, squaring the twist, going into the somersault, doing the Barani maneuver, trying to find the water, but just over-rotating there at the end, which threw up that big splash. Now Nikita's got a very solid takeoff. He's got that twist coming off. Was talking to him, he said he wasn't feeling very good over the weekend. He wasn't sleeping well, a little bit feverish, some aches, some pains. Just to be able to do this when you're not feeling 100% Trace is so impressive.
Well, that's what I was talking about with Rhiannan Iffland, like how you can be that consistent. I mean, it's just, you know, one day you might be off just because you're sick.
Absolutely.
And, you know, to keep that rolling is it's not normal.
Yeah, not at all.
She's a unicorn.
She is. She's a Jordan. You heard that story about Jordan in The Last Dance, playing with the fever and still crushing the other team.
Right, exactly.
That's what Rhi does so well. Now, we're not saying that Nikita isn't strong enough to handle it. He's tough as nails. I know this guy like anybody else, and he is so strong. He's battled back from some huge injuries. He had a couple bad crashes last year. Just to see him back in action and diving again, I'm so proud of him. So happy to see him joining us. He's in the lead right now, but there's a lot of divers left to go.
Yeah, 9 more. It's usually 12. 2 are scratches from slight injuries. And Konstantin Popovic was sitting high up on the leaderboard after the after the second round, and then the third round, he over-rotated. Didn't think he didn't seem okay after that. He just seemed shaken up, but he's such a tough competitor, but nevertheless, it put him into 9th position coming into this 4th round. He joins a very small club of trophy winners, King Kakili trophy winners, Dave. Only 5 other men have won that trophy in the 15 years completed on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
Yeah, it's a very exclusive club. This back arm stand, 3.5 somersaults, 3 twist pike, is the most difficult dive being done right now. So if there's anybody who can come back from a deficit, it's this guy, Costa. He is extremely tough. You were talking about Trace. He had a very bad landing in the last round. 3s and 4s from the judges, the toughest one we've seen so far in the competition. And it's a real shame because his warm-up was so strong. I was watching him train earlier today, and he crushed both of his dives. But that was practice.
Watch this. This is crazy. In the wind.
We were just talking about DD versus execution. We saw that video. That's what diving is about, the numbers. High risk, high reward. And Costa plays that game every single time. He's got the biggest DD of any of the competitors.
His hair's blowing, the wind's blowing, seagulls flying by. Wow. "90 feet off the water, 27 meters.
Yes, Costa!
Come back there. Nice job.
That's how you do it, Trace.
Yeah.
Talk about taking a hit and coming back strong.
Yeah.
So impressive from Konstantin Popovic. He's been working hard on this dive. It's the takeoff that has been giving him trouble. He's been fading away and pushing too far and not finding the entry. But we got some 7s, a 6.5, all the way to an 8. The judges sometimes don't see the exact same thing. They're very far away, Trace. It's a hard day to be a judge. That's why the high and the low are both dropped, so those middle scores all very close together, 7, 7, 7.5. But I am so impressed with what Konstantin Popovic just did. He took a hit, he had a bad dive in round 3 to be able to come back and do a handstand dive in the wind. That direction on the takeoff, that's what he's been working on. Trying to pop up and over the top helps him find the water in a much better position. Right here, snapping the legs and pushing up over the top into the twist. This maneuver coming up, squaring the twist and going into the pike. Konstantin Popovic is better at that than anybody I know. He's so good at finding the water, and this Branny, because of the good direction on takeoff, it's easier for him to find that vertical line on the water. So impressive. Way to go, Costa.
Konstantin Popovic, the Romanian shark, usually consistent with all 4 rounds. Unfortunately, that 3rd round will push him back just a little bit, but he's, again, like you mentioned, Dave, trying to get that high score on this just to keep him in there and in the mix with only 4 stops this season to win that King Kakili trophy. So 124 on that dive, that's a big score. He's in the lead with 341.60. Question is, can that hold?
Absolutely. We got a lot of divers left, but Konstantin is one of the hardest working, most dedicated athletes in the field. I remember when he came in and started doing well, a couple years ago, I asked him, what's the secret? How do you do so well? And he said, it's really no secret sauce. You got to work hard. You got to stick to it.
Here's a youngster from Italy, Andrea Barnaba. Man, he scared us big time in the Philippines there, the 21-year-old who's still gaining experience on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Check out this dive right here. Break it down, Dave. What happened?
He's okay. He's okay.
This is a nightmare. Getting lost in the dive is the absolute worst thing that can happen in diving.
He's good. He's good. He's just calm. Okay.
Thankfully, he had the air awareness to find the water and go head first. This is what he had to say about it.
What is his strength? The strength of Andrea is that he is really talented. The line, the barani that he has a he's really strong diver. He's really clever, And what he has to learn, he has to learn how to deal with these big things, okay? He wants to do a lot of stuff, but he has to wait at the right moment. He has a long time in front of him. He's gonna do big stuff, we're sure about that. But he has to trust the process.
Dave, always good to hear from Alessandro De Rossi and get a good perspective on him. Had one of the most epic wins here at De Rosa back in 2017. It was the biggest goosebump moment of all time that I remember commentating. But it's nice to see him in the coaching realm too.
Absolutely.
And to kind of help these guys like Barnaba get out of those positions, because he's been in those positions before. So that experience, and for him to educate Barnaba and get back up on the horse, as they say, right, is important.
Absolutely. He's in place of his wife, Nicole, usually the head coach for the Italian team. She's at home with their 4-month-old baby girl, Annette. Alessandro's here coaching. That moment you talked about, Trace, him winning in 2017, I was next to him on the podium alongside fellow teammate Andy Jones. It still gives me goosebumps to this day.
Yeah.
Watching Alessandro taking the trophy, tears running down his face, with so many fellow countrymen singing his national anthem. It was incredible.
And now he gets to see Andrea Barnaba, see if some of the coaching pays off here for the 21-year-old.
Yes, Trace!
Andrea Barnaba. Disappearing act into the Adriatic. And so impressive, Dave, if you're an outsider looking in and you saw what happened with that footage in the Philippines, and then you see that.
Dude, to come back, so impressive. And Trace, this is a brand new dive for Andrea. He's only done it a few times, getting nines from the judges. Holy smokes. He's only done this a few times in practice. He learned it in Fort Lauderdale just a few short months ago. He practiced it once in Austria, and now he did it once the other day in training. I caught up with him after. He said, oh, I feel 15 kilos lighter. The relief of doing a new dive and now competing in competition, so well done. So much happening in this back triple-triple. Rotating off the tower, flipping and then twisting and finding the vertical entry. Oh my gosh, Trace, look at the technique here. He's got a deep squat, the arms come through, powerful jump. He wraps into that twist, very good distance from the tower, squares into the pike. He's so flexible. He comes out and squares, beautiful branding with the arms down by the side, finds the water, vertical entry, so strong.
See what the judges think. 5 judges. Score between 1 and 10. He'll keep 3 9s. He'll drop an 8.5 and a 9. That is absolutely massive. So 126.90 for Barnaba. 347.80. Top dog right now. Barnaba is 3 to go of the 10. And the Italian fans are loving it. We'll see if that score holds. Carlos Gimeno, he is the leader coming into this 4th round. Don't forget to follow us at Red Bull Cliff Diving on Instagram, of course, the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out all the photos and videos. Great stuff here in Polignano, Mare, Italy for the past few days. So as he gets set to go, we're going to check out our 5,000th dive of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. In the men.
Here we go with average finishes over the years with Cat Preda. Look at this graph, up and down, Trace. 2019, he found his stride in 2022, and now he's had a big fall off. In recent years, he had a horrible nightmare of a year last year, crashing hard in Boston, and then trying to come back, but crashing again in Austria. He's really been struggling. But Cat has dedicated everything to coming back. He's pushing so hard. He's training super strong. This dive is going to be the ultimate comeback for Cat Preda.
In this dive, number 5,000 of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, on the men's side, since the beginning in 2009.
5,000 total dives.
5,000 total dives right now. You're looking at it.
That's a nice ring to it. I like that.
You're part of it, dude. You're part of the history.
I was a couple of those.
Feel special right now. I know
69 starts. I had a lot of those dives.
You did have a lot of those dives. Can you believe there's 5,000 though?
That's crazy. I remember when the sport first started in 2009. I was coming out of college. I was diving in a circus show. My buddy was like, "Hey, should we go out and try for this?" That buddy being Stephen LeBeau and Kyle Mitrione. We just kind of threw our hats in the ring, not really expecting much. It turned into a 15-year career. Now I'm sitting here in the booth with you. It's such a special project to be a part of.
All you guys coming from what? Purdue, right?
Purdue University. Yeah. Boiler up, baby.
First place right now is Andrea Barnaba with his 3:47.80. A lot of divers yet to go. Dropping in now. It's Catalin Preda, 33-year-old Romanian.
Big dive here, Trace. Back 4 somersaults with 2 twists. Difficult to balance on the edge of the platform here with that wind. The waves have been a huge factor. Can he handle it?
So fluid in the air, Dave. Almost had that right there, but just couldn't get it done on the entry as Andrea Barnaba looking on.
I think it was just a little too much sauce, Trace.
Too much sauce on there, a little hot sauce for Preda. But what do you think? He's doing a good job as his comeback since last year, taking a lot of different, a lot of time off and back and forth training, and had to chill a little bit, come back into it. That must be tough just mentally.
Exactly, Trace. It's such a battle. I mean, physically, he was in so much pain after those crashes last year. Mentally, it shocks you. For him to come back and still be competing pretty big dives off the platform. He's got bigger ones in his toolkit, but this is what he's doing here, and you could see the waves kind of sliding out from underneath him. This is a really big dive. Swinging through, arms overhead, the toes coming up into the somersault. He does better than most people. He's so fast into this rotation, and this is where he comes out, and he's got to control this final maneuver. Just maybe a little early to close and stand up, and he just over-rotates a little bit there, throwing up a huge splash, and that's what the judges are not going to like. Still rolling off that jet ski with some style, though. Don't count him out yet, Trace. The comeback is still alive.
94.35 on that dive. Remember, all 4 rounds are added together. So every single dive in every round counts. As Paredes will be in 3rd behind his teammate Popovich. So 3:16 for Preda. Barnaba still holding down the lead.
Big hug there from Barnaba to Faulkner. The wild card on the female side who ended up on the podium in her brand new debut. That's her with her parents there. We met at lunch the other day, Iva and Michelle. So cool for them to come and see her daughter podium in her first event.
All right, so here's where we're at in the competition. We'll have Lichtenstein, Martinez, Prigorov, Hunt, Paredes, and then Gimeno with the highest score coming in to this 4th round. So 5.2 degree of difficulty for James Lichtenstein. From 12th to 6th. James just trying to climb up the ladder here.
James is on a heater. He started in 12th. He went to 11th. He had a very rough first 2 rounds. Then he was in 6th. Now he's got a big dive for this final round, and the door is open for him to move up in those rankings. Can he do the ultimate leapfrog from last to the podium? James is going to take his time here.
Surprise me.
It would or would not?
It would not.
It would not.
No.
Absolutely. Me too, man. I trained with him the other week in Fort Lauderdale, and he crushed both of his optionals multiple times. You see that tape on his lower back. The tape on his arm is actually not for an injury. It's that heart rate monitor. He's in the 140s right now. We saw in round 2. What did it go up to? 160?
Yeah, it was up in the 160 range. It's pretty chill now. He's figured it out.
He's in his zone. James likes to take his time. He's still not set yet. He's going to back his heels off the tower in a second here. He's been working very hard back home in Fort Lauderdale with Stephen LeBeau. He moved there a year or 2 ago, and he's committed everything to high diving.
Now that rate's going up.
Heels off the platform. You ever been up there and put your heels over the edge?
Nope. right, Liechtenstein a little over-rotated on that. Barnaba looking on. He's the leader. 347 is his score. That's the top to beat. James's girlfriend is here. Liechtenstein, the only American to dive in this competition on the men's side, and the only male permanent diver from the United States.
Yeah, this back squint here, so many rotations coming into the water. He just gets his hips behind him a little bit, which is going to throw up the splash. It was a real solid dive overall, Trace. A good squat over his toes. James is really good at getting the arms through and the hips up, slamming into this tuck position. We would like to see the hands a little bit lower on the shins and the toes a little more together for the tuck position.
He just spots in between? Or?
He spots in between. You can see the head going up and down, seeing the water on every rotation. He's an acrobatic king in that. He knows exactly where he is. It was a very good dive. He just rolled through the entry a little bit, throwing up some splash there. We'll see what the judges think about it. He's coming in, chilling on that jet ski ride.
Water depth about 6 meters, 20 feet. That landing zone. Saltwater, Adriatic Sea. Here in Polignano, Mare, Italy, 96.20 on that last final round. You had all four together for Liechtenstein of the United States, 323.60. So James, with 5 to go. We're halfway through the men's field of 10 as Italian Andrea Barnaba, the youngster, sitting comfortable in the lead right now. That'll give him some good confidence. That guy has a lot of confidence right there. Special hand sign that he has, by the way. Right there you saw, he does that for his family. Lets them know that he loves them, is thinking about them, and he makes his way out onto the platform. So that's what he told me. So Barnaba, Popovic, Liechtenstein, the top 3.
Jolotto Martinez coming up with a big dive.
What is it?
He's got the back quad with 2 twists, same as Catalin Preda just a few dives ago. Now this is only his 9th stop, Trace. He started in Boston just last year, had 1 podium in Montreal in his first season. He's now a permanent diver, a super talented junior diver coming out of Mexico. I remember seeing him for the first time as a young teenager, kind of a skinny twig, and then all of a sudden he's got these big muscles, big dives. I was like, whoa, Jolo, where'd you come from, man?
He said what scares him the most, Dave, diving straight from 27 meters in any sketchy weather conditions. He's got the wind going for him right now. All right, Jolotto Martinez looked beautiful in the air. Coming in hot on that landing.
We see concern from his girlfriend Ava right there. Head safety diver Chapas has got him. That was a real tough landing. Very short of vertical. He had the chest and the chin down. This is our safety team in action. Pros at their job, quick to get him and get him rescued. Exactly what we want to see when something bad happens. Unfortunately, this can happen, especially with the tough conditions. You were talking about it, Trace. This is his biggest fear, and this is the worst that can happen in Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Thankfully, we have those pros in the water taking care of our divers as best as they can.
And it's not uncommon, Dave, right? I mean, you look at different sports and anything, you know, basketball and football with a hard hit.
He's got his countryman, Sergio Guzman, who pulled out of the competition due to an injury, cheering him on. He's now safe on the backboard. You know, Trace, actually, bad landings are not super common in cliff diving. Stephen Lebu and I did a research project once trying to show when the facility was being built in Fort Lauderdale how safe the sport actually is. Now, the safety divers are always there, but it's actually pretty rare that they are activated. This is the first rescue that we're seeing in this competition. It really doesn't happen that often. It's really only a couple times a season.
Yeah.
But they got to be there, and it's definitely the first priority for the sport. We've got multiple medical safety teams on standby, and Jolo's going to be okay here.
Yeah. We'll get the word on him, hopefully.
They're going to take some time to reset.
Well, yeah.
Because they took him to the side, it's going to be a little bit of a break here. Sergio comforting Jolo's girlfriend, Ava, talking about the situation. Sergio, no stranger to accidents. He had a really hard crash in Mostar a few years ago, and he also came back strong. There are the scores for Jolo Martinez, 4.5 from the judges. He's now in 5th place. We're going to take some time to make sure he's okay, then we're going to reset and come back with the next diver.
All right, so those guys chatted up. We have Prigorov coming up next, followed by Hunt, Paredes, and Gimeno. So 4 to go in this men's 4th round competition. Always tough, Dave. You can explain it. Like, you've probably had to wait on that platform after you see, you know, somebody come in with a heavy hit, right?
Definitely.
What do you do? You got to take a little bit more time, and
that's exactly what Alexei Prigorov is doing right there. I mean, you got to focus on the task at hand in front of you. You know, you got to be able to compartmentalize and separate yourself from the other competitors, from the conditions. It happens in traditional diving. The first time I remember, I was 14 years old. The diver ahead of me doing the exact same dive that I did hit his head on the board. His coach had to dive in the water and rescue him. It happens in regular diving. It's similar here in cliff diving. Alexei's on the platform now. He's doing the smart thing. He's sitting down. He's staying loose. He's stretching. He's staying active. He doesn't know how many minutes he's going to be there, so you got to stay cool, calm, and composed when you hear your name called again, which could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, could be 10 minutes. Very difficult.
I can't remember the competition, but Alexei took a pretty big hit.
It was in Japan.
Japan, yeah.
Exactly. That was 2 years ago. Alexei took a really hard hit.
Yeah.
Yep. He went to the hospital in Japan, got checked out. I remember Alexei texting from the hospital, "Hey guys, I'm okay. Can you hold the competition? I want to dive again." And everybody was like,
"Oh, really?
Hey, take a second. You know, it's no big deal. You don't have to do your last dive. We'll let you come back in the next one." These guys are so tough. They're so competitive. It's incredible what these guys do, and the impact force, I'm telling you, is immense, Trace. I'm sitting here in the booth next to you because I just had my 4th major surgery. I've had 2 rotator cuffs on the right, 1 on the left, a splenectomy in my abdomen. The water does nasty things to you, buddy.
Wait, I thought you said it never happens.
That's the other divers.
If we get an update on Gelato, of course we will pass along that information. So, but the safety diver's doing a great job. You have to take precautions. You know, I come from a skiing background, and somebody crashes pretty hard, and basically getting that person off the mountain and just making sure that the precautions are there. So
we've got our competition director, Hassan Muti, a former Red Bull cliff diver. He gave the green light to go ahead. That means most likely Joloto is fine. We're going to get an update from them as soon as possible. We've got Alessandro De Rossi next to him. And now,
okay, so here's
Prigorov's last dive.
4th place at the first stop of the season, just off the podium. As I mentioned earlier, he won the final stop of the season in 2024. At the age of 37, that was then, and that win came after 35 career starts since 2017. Big running takeoff. A lot going on. Alexei Prigorov not affected by the pause in competition. Drills it.
That's how you handle the pressure, Trace. That's how you stay focused on the task at hand and not get distracted by everything going on around you.
Great experience. 36 starts. 38 years old. He just turned 38, June 25th. Lower scores than anticipated.
I agree.
Again, I've learned the sport now, Dave, over time because I've commentated it a while. His legs were kind of apart.
The main issue is the angle. Now we're going to see it from the judge's point of view. The first angle was not where they were looking. The legs came apart a little bit here, but here's the entry. It was very clean.
Oh, wow. Okay.
However, you saw the bent over shape going through. Yeah. Now, it's very easy to do what's called a rip entry when going short. You can still stay tight and take the water down with you. If you go over, you're going to get that big kaboom. The butt splash is going to go behind you. Now, this is still an impressive dive from Alexei. Throwing down hard into the front somersault, coming out and twisting. You'll see his toes come apart a little bit there, and the knees a tad bent in the pike. But so far, so good. It's this last part where he comes down and puts his feet down. he doesn't quite get his shoulders up in line with his hips and feet, and that's why you get the big deduction from the judges.
I've worked with other expert analysts, Joey Zuber and other people, and I always wonder why everyone doesn't do the running takeoff if it makes it easier for you guys.
Yeah, well, did you see what happened to Molly Carlson just the other day?
Oh, yeah. But that's very rare. That was very rare. First time you've ever seen that.
No, I know. It used to be standing only. Stephen LeBoux actually learned the front quit from a standing position, and then guys started doing running takeoffs, and Steve then transitioned into the running takeoff.
So Prigorov with a 95 on that fourth round dive. You add all four together, and he's in third with a 332.45. So 3 divers remaining, and young Andrea Barnaba, the Italian, still holding down the top position with a 347.80. There he is. He's like, am I going to get on the podium? But that's not going to be easy when the names of Hunt, Paredes, and Gimeno are next to drop.
Yeah, we're going to need some pretty hard misses from these 3 if Barnaba's going to be on the podium.
All right, the GOAT getting ready. Well, the 10-time King Kakili Trophy winner Gary Hunt has been interesting over the past couple years. Cliff diving, traditional Olympic diving. He spoke to us about that journey over the past couple years.
I've been focused a lot towards 10 meter, and now once that goal has been done, it's been a pleasure to get back to really what I love and what my speciality is. I never expected there to be too much problems going back to 27 meters. However, I did struggle in the competitions that I did in the last part of the 2024 season. I couldn't find the motivation. I felt like I was an intruder coming into the season midway, and I didn't really find my place there, and I think that affected me, and I missed a few of my dives. So it was tough, and it was nice for me after that to take a break and not think about diving for a few months. And after that, I remembered why I love doing it. How can I not have an eye on the King Kakili Trophy after one victory in a short series like this, 4 competitions? So obviously I know it's going to be tough, but if there was ever a time to get another championship, this is the season with Aiden Heslov not competing. So that's obviously what I'm going to try and do. I'm trying to stay focused and make my mistakes to a smallest level and see if the consistency will be enough.
It's interesting, Dave, that he talks about Aiden Heslop, because Aiden Heslop last year was like, I can win the King Kakili Trophy because Gary's not here. And now Gary's saying, well, Aiden's not here, maybe I can win it.
They're going to go back and forth for a couple of years.
How it shifted. But Barnaba right now looking to try to get up on that podium as he leads the way. But Gary Hunt having some fun. The 41-year-old, who it is in his 102nd start on the World Series. And he has won at this location 6 times and been on the podium 8 times. And of course, winning the season opener in El Nido. 47 World Series victories, 78 podiums.
We got some moves from
Big
Sergio.
Smile. Big smile on
Andrea.
All right, here we go.
Now this is the Gary dive, the back triple quad. This is actually what started the DD revolution in men's cliff diving when he debuted this so many years ago. It was a long time until anybody else even attempted this dive. And it has brought him many successes over the years. Oh, and there it is again, Trace.
Again. Magical dive by the man himself, Gary Hunt. Still has it. Still has the goods. Still firing off dives and still getting above 8s. Look at that.
So
across
impressive,
the board. 8.5 and 8 is what he'll toss. He'll keep 3 of them.
Here it is, the back triple quad, getting the arms through and the toes up, rotating and twisting at the same time. 3.5 twists. You got to be quick from the square into the pike and then find the water. This is such a dynamic dive. So much going on from the takeoff, trying to get both arms through over the top of your head, creating somersault rotation and twisting rotation at the same time. Squaring into that pike, arms down into the branny, quick to get the legs back down again, and then finding the entry. There's a reason Gary's the GOAT. And this is one of the things that has brought him so many trophies over the years, this back triple quad. Throwing up the AOK sign. It's just incredible what this guy can do.
Yeah, it is. He's the most unassuming guy you'll ever meet, too. If you've just started to follow cliff diving, you see everybody at the airport looking at their phones before the flights, and you look over and there's Gary reading his book.
Maybe playing piano.
Cafeteria, playing piano in the airport. Great guy, 365.30. So Hunt on top of the leaderboard now, above Andrea Barnaba. Will he get a podium? The fate is in the hands now of Jonathan Paredes and Carlos Gimeno, the next two divers.
Gary's going to hang out and look. I was catching up with Gary the other day, and he was saying it's nice to have a little break before coming into this season. He had a 6-month honeymoon marrying his longtime partner Sabine, and he came back with renewed vigor and a new drive, which has obviously lent to some good and strong starts with the Philippines, and now here in Italy, another guaranteed podium.
So Jonathan Paredes, how about that balcony dive? He's so good at the earlier rounds, and he held in there to be the second qualifier coming into the fourth and final round.
Here's that balcony dive from Jonathan in round 2. So stylish, his classic front double half, just like Simone Leathead, one of the best dives of the competition. That golden hour sun looking so good on Jonathan. He jumps up, goes into the pike, squares out. That stylish Branny, the Jonathan that we always know, crushing the water. He's the king of the first 2 dives. Trace, he's usually in the lead after rounds 1 and 2. And that's where we found him again, here in Polignano.
So Hunt with 365. 2 divers remaining, Paredes, then Gimeno. We'll see what Johnny can deliver here. Based on the degree of difficulty, what do you think, Dave? Oof, he's gonna need some high scores here. He's gonna need 8.5s or better to pull into the top spot over Hunt.
Now he's executed this dive 5 times before. His average score on this is 6.1s from the judges. So he's gonna need a better than normal if he wants to overtake Gary. This is a big one. This is a running front 4 somersaults with 1.5 twists. It's interesting how he breaks this one up. He does the twist, then the somersault, then the twist again. Very unusual. Usually you do all the somersaults first or all the twists first and do them one after the other, but he's going to do them interrupted. 1 twist, 1 somersault, 1 twist, and then back into it. Actually very similar to aerial skiing, Trace.
Yeah, it's hard to get that separation going, especially in your mind. Jonathan Paredes. 35-year-old Mexican.
Oh, and he crushes it, Trace.
Look at Gary.
Oh, yes. That was absolutely gorgeous.
When you talk about rip entry, you talk about Johnny Paredes. And when you ask, Dave, any diver in any biography that they fill out, look at those scores coming in for Paredes.
Ooh, it's going to be close if he can overtake him.
When asked, probably even you, when asked, who do you want to, who do you want to enter like? Who do you want to come into the water like if you could do it every single time? And 98% of the divers say Jonathan Paredes.
Absolutely. He's got the rip entry. And here he is, flipping, twisting, flipping, and then going into the Barani. Oh, and he controls it so well going into the water. This is such a stylish dive. He's riding the confidence of overcoming that back triple in round 3. His nemesis he did so well, and now he does his last dive, the front quad with 1.5 twists. Somersaulting, twisting, somersaulting again, breaking up those maneuvers like we were talking about, and then coming down for the final entry, the Barani maneuver. Doing so well. It's going to be really tight. He's going to be super close to Gary. Let's see if he can overtake him.
Johnny Paredes dropping into his 78th start on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, second most starts to Gary Hunt.
The goal guy, the old guy.
And look at this, 112.80. That almost did it. 365.05, 0.25 difference between Paredes and Hunt.
Oh, so close.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just 1/2 point from any other judge, it would have put him up over the benchmark.
And now Barnaba on the bubble. And there's the standings with 1 to drop in Carlos Gimeno. So Hunt looking to go back to back. Unless Carlos Gimeno can pull it off right here. He can, Dave. He needs 6.5s or better on this dive to get on top of the podium and defeat Gary.
You remember his balcony dive in round 2, Trace?
That was sweet, dude.
It was the best dive in the competition so far.
One, yeah.
He is the king of the handstand. Now
and again, golden hour.
And again, golden hour. There's a new format for non-off the platform dives, so he's allowed to do 2 handstands in this competition, and he does another backwards rotating handstand dive. Solid on the kick out, finding the water and just slicing through here with very little splash. It's been the best dive of the competition so far. Everybody's trying to get that extra point in the overall series rankings. Love that shot when they're all in the boat together, mutual respect. And here we go. He's practicing his handstand takeoff before he goes up and executes it.
All right, pressure's on Gimeno. There is 1 and 2 right now. Barnaba from Italy on the beach. These 2 guys right there. The most starts in history, Gary Hunt. The second most starts, Jonathan Paredes, and they're 1 and 2 right now. I mean, that shows you the experience. It's amazing. Okay. There's Barnaba in the middle.
That's what we've been talking
These
about.
These guys, look, I mean, all the divers, like you've been in this position before. You're down there, even if you're not on the podium, right?
Oh, it's so fun.
It's like it's so tense.
Going to the final dive, everybody's cheering each other on. There's so much energy on that beach right now. Everybody wants to see Carlos crush this last dive.
We'll see if he can do it.
He's adjusting the safety divers here, pointing at them, getting in the right spot. As you can see here, average needed for first 6.2. That means he needs at least 1 6.5 from the judges, which is very doable for Carlos. Second highest DD of this round, pretty high overall. Again, we were talking about how Konstantin Popovic has the highest DD in the world right now, but he's sitting in 4th. It's more about execution this year. Hunt and Paredes in 1st and 2nd. Watching the only man who could take them down, Carlos Gimeno.
Over 35,000 fans over the weekend and looking on. They're quiet right now for Carlos Gimeno. The victory determined on a 27-meter, 90-foot drop into the Adriatic. Gary Hunt leads. Jonathan Paredes in 2nd. Andrea Barnaba in 3rd.
Dropping it in, Trace.
Come on!
That is how you hammer down.
Was awesome.
Carlos.
Wow.
We'll wait for the judges' scores, but I think it's all but decided, Trace. That was incredible. Carlos Gimeno, the king of the handstand. He's cut his teeth over so many years, worked incredibly hard at the House of Dancing Water in Macau, one of the highest level circus performing shows in the world. He's in great shape. He's been training. There's that foot clap that he loves to do for the fans. And here he is from the water all the way down. 4.5 somersaults from the hands, slicing through the water. It did look a little short of vertical, but I think with the rip entry there, he's going to get those scores from the judges. He's so strong in that takeoff, snapping his legs out over the top of the direction, then grabbing into the tuck. I'd like to see a little bit tighter in the tuck and a little stronger on the kick, but I think right here, ooh, yeah, it's going to be close. Very clean. Strong takeoff. Grabs a little bit high on the shins, but still a decent tuck. Rotating through, spotting the water each time as he rotates around. Kicking strong, arms down, slicing through the water.
A lot of hard work paying off. One of the most disciplined, consistent divers on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Getting the fans all fired up. Will Gimeno pull off victory number 2 of his career in his 26th start on the World Series. I think he knows it. You know it, Dave.
Oh, he's
Will
so
the
excited.
judges agree?
That's that energy. And I love the camaraderie between the top 3 guys. Everybody's cheering him on. We're all waiting. We all want to know, did he do it?
$137.70 on that last dive. That does it. Carlos Gimeno seals the deal in Polignano Mare. 4:03.45 and wins by a long shot over the greatest, Gary Hunt.
Well done, Carlos Gimeno. DD versus execution, Trace. He's got higher DD than both Hunt and Paredes, but lower than Constantine. We've been talking about it all day. Constantine in 5th, Gimeno in 1st. He's got that perfect balance of DD and execution.
I'm having deja vu of that smile that he had in Mostar when he won.
Absolutely.
Like, it was the best watching him. I love his celebration.
Oh, that's the feeling right there.
All right. Once again, to take care of business and get on top of the podium, Dave, you know this. You have to be consistent in all 4 rounds. That first round, boom, that started the pace. Gary knew it.
Absolutely. It actually wasn't the best first round dive, Trace. This was a little bit of a miss for Carlos. But if you're going to miss one dive, let it be the first round, because he came out strong after that. A front triple half. He loses his feet a little bit here and gets a little bit heavy on the entry. But round 2 is where he started to turn it up. Handstand from the balcony. I think the best dive of the competition. So stylish with that finesse takeoff, controlling the rotations, and just drilling it through the Adriatic. That is just beautiful. You'll notice the difference between the handstand takeoff here and round 4. It was very easy, very controlled. In round 4, you'll see the power. So good with the control, destroying the entry. Round 3, the back quint. Extremely powerful and dynamic, up into the takeoff, arms through, knees to chest, rotating as fast as he possibly can, spotting the water, each rotation down, and then kicking strong, lasering in on the water and finding that entry. This is what launched him up. He hadn't been leading the competition until this final round. And then, with all the pressure, with all the people, can you do it? Carlos Gimeno says, sí, sí se puede.
Look at that. To cap it off, under pressure, final dive. And these 2 guys know it right there. But those guys are proud to stand up on the podium with that guy. I thought Barnaba was going to make it up there, though.
That would have been nice.
It would have been nice. All right, Carlos Gimeno, the winner here in Polignano Mare, Italy. He's going to have a big celebration tonight. Let's hear from him on the beach with Frosty.
All right, Carlos. Amazing, amazing win. That was so stunning. Now, there are crazy conditions for this. How do you find your center, your balance when you're up there in all of this madness?
So I've been working very hard for this competition, and everything I done right. The nutrition I'm in the best shape in my life, and I can tell you that's make the difference. When you work out every day, when you give everything in every training you do, and when you really believe in yourself, you know, even if some people doubt you, you believe in yourself that you always gonna reach to your dream. And this, wow, this is a dream come true. Look at these beautiful people here in Polignano Mare. This is one of the biggest events of the year, and I cannot be more happy than this. Yeah, this is the best, one of the best moments in my life for sure. I want to enjoy now. Thank you.
It was an incredible moment for all of us. I mean, with these crazy conditions, you still took it to another level. You did 2 arm stand dives. I mean, they're calling you the king of the handstand. How do you choose to do something so challenging?
Yes, so for me the handstand, I've been doing handstand since I was a kid. I was gymnast before, and handstand I feel confident. That's why I did handstand for forward, reverse, back, all type of handstand. Yeah, because I like and I feel confident with the handstand. Even with the weather like this, I don't know, I get even more excited when it's wavy, when it's wet, kind of like more challenging for me, and I like that. You know, I like put everything into, and when I succeed, wow, it's so beautiful. And let me tell you something. Last year, I was not too motivated because of some changes that happened, but this year, I'm motivated, you know. Now, also with my new sponsor, OnlyFans, supporting me and motivating me to go for more. They put money on me, and this is how I answer, with victories. So thank you very much.
Amazing job. You definitely rose to the occasion. Well done.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Carlos Gimeno locking it in Polignano Mare, earning that extra point, and that could be the game changer with the overall World Series points. And it was on his final dive, Dave Polturi, that he had that highest score to earn that extra point. Just absolutely outstanding.
Absolutely, Trace. And here's the energy that we love to see from Carlos. Fist pumping it on the beach, taking home the win. He also had the best dive of the competition. He double handstand it. He did it in round 4 and he did it in round 2. Takes the win and the extra point.
By a lot of points, 403. Hunt in second with 365 and 365. So Carlos Gimeno, with the pressure between the two greats, Gary Hunt and Jonathan Paredes, absolutely delivers a magical performance here in Polignano Mare. And it is going to be a tight race going into the final stop of the season after Mostar in Boston to see on the men's side who's going to take home the King Ka-Keeley Trophy. Rhiannan Iffland winning on the women's side twice in a row, so she's on her way to making, to earning number 9. But for the men, pretty interesting.
Anybody's game. Johnny and Hunt are up there at the top. Best dive of the weekend. I said it before, I'll say it again. Carlos Gimeno, the arm stand artist. So much finesse on this back arm stand. Not that many somersaults, so you got to control it, Trace. Kicking out, holding the arms to the side, staying tight, and just slicing, dicing all the way through the Adriatic. So impressive to do it on a balcony like that. The visuals are tricky. The balcony isn't very deep.
Yeah.
You're upside down. You're holding that handstand 26 meters above the Adriatic.
It's not built for diving.
No, I don't. If you book that room, Trace, I don't think they allow you to jump.
Really?
You can't do it, buddy.
I bet there's a lot of people wondering if that's the case. I am. As the sun drops, and it is beautiful here in Polignano Mare. The series standings, Gary Hunt still on the top spot. Carlos Gimeno now moving into second, tied with Jonathan Paredes at 29 apiece. So with 2 stops to go, that's how it looks. That's how it's shaken out. It is going to come down to that final stop. Popovich in 4th, and then you see down to the 12th place in the men's series standings, Dave. Pretty cool competition in a beautiful city.
Absolutely incredible, and anything can happen with 2 stops left. Don't count Constantine out. He had a rough one here, but he was on the podium in the first one. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him back up there again.
So we'll do some awards for the top 3, the men and the women, here at the second stop of the series on the Lama Manakile Beach. We'll begin with the men. Jonathan Paredes now on the podium twice in a row this season. Hanging in there and doing a nice job. As you mentioned, had a lot of pressure over the past couple of years. Gaining confidence, keeping things simple, which I like about Jonathan Paredes.
Absolutely,
on
it's
the
so
outside,
great to
looking
see him
into the
coming
sport
back.
and just like keeping things really consistent and tight and doing what he knows how to do best and not try to push out of his limits. In my opinion, and Gary Hunt, there he is on the podium again. So he's got a first and a second to kick off this 2025 season. Wow. It's just like crazy that he continues to be this good.
So impressive with the stats on Gary. The win rate, the podium rate, and now we've got our new champion, Carlos Gimeno, pumping up the crowd, giving the high fives to his fellow competitors. His second win overall. So great to see Carlos getting up top there.
One of the divers that loves that raw and pure form of cliff diving and the sport. Perhaps a little bit more street cred because of it, Dave. And as a kid, he spent a lot of time on the beach, surfing and fishing, cliff jumping. One of the reasons why he became so connected with the ocean is what he's told me. And
absolutely, he even pioneered a few cliff diving spots on his home island of Tenerife.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's cool. He entered the series as a wild card, World Series as a wild card diver in 2023. Ended up ranked number 3 that year. And from then, it's been just the up and up for Gimeno.
This is his 6th podium overall, Trace, his 2nd win. And here's our national anthem of Spain. There you go, boys. Take a taste of that champagne and spray it around. Bravo. Job well done.
It's definitely not Gary or Johnny's first bottle of champagne on a podium. Rhiannan Iffland earlier on, if you just joined us later, Rhiannan Iffland putting down another win. 51 podiums out of 53 starts, her 43rd victory. Lisa Faulkner, in her debut on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, finds herself on the podium. Dave Colturi told me 4 days ago that don't be surprised to see her on the podium. Dave, you're right. All right.
I think it's the story of the day.
I didn't challenge you.
That's nice of you.
You are the expert.
On my first time in the booth, I appreciate that, Trace. No, job well done. Yeah. And the wild cards also fighting strong. Morgan had a strong start. Now she finishes up 8th. Here we go. Lisa Faulkner with the back triple, her 4th round dive. Her 3rd round dive was actually what sealed it. This went a little bit over, but I'm telling you, she's going to add a flip to this and have the world's hardest dive very soon, Trace. She makes that look so easy, and she could easily fit another somersault in.
Second play. This was a great performance by Simone Leathead.
Absolutely, Simone Leathead. This is her 4th podium. She's got 2 silvers and now 2 bronzes. She's still chasing that elusive gold medal, but she came out so strong today, nailing the front quad in round 3 and then being very strong in round 4 with the inward triple half. But it's going to be hard for her to get a gold when you got a woman like Rhiannan Iffland leading the way. I mean, she's so consistent. She's so good. She just doesn't miss, Trace.
No, she doesn't. Record-breaking Rhi wins 9 straight here in Polignano, Mare. She's competed here 10 times now. The only time she didn't stand on top of the podium was that 2nd place finish we talked about earlier. But this is win number 43 for Iffland out of the 53 starts, an 80% winning ratio. That is insane for any sport out there of any athlete.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you talk about Simone Biles, you talk about the leaders of female sports, Serena Williams, Caitlin Clark, Katie Ledecky. Rhiannan Iffland is up there at the top with all of them.
Here's the other one. She's never been out of the top 5 in the 53 events she's competed.
That's insane.
Never out of the top 5.
Unreal. And here we go. Lisa Faulkner, the wild card debut in 3rd place. Yes, Lisa! Look at that smile. She's been working so hard back home with Steve LeBeau. So proud of her for crushing it in her first event. You can hear Jeannie shouting louder than anyone out there, Trace. Fellow teammate, she's from the Netherlands, but she also lives and trains alongside Lisa in Fort Lauderdale. They work together on the cruise ships. Amazing for Lisa. And here we go, Simone Leathead taking that second place, stretching across the podium to give her a hug. Big smiles from Simone.
Simone Leathead still looking for that first win, but she'll celebrate another second place finish. This, again, only her 13th World Series start, so.
Still new to the sport, and she came in with that revenge dive with the front quad, getting it back after crashing in New Zealand. Expect big things from Simone after this strong finish.
There you go. Rhiannan Iffland, no stranger to the top of the podium. The 33-year-old from Newcastle, Australia, an 8-time Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion. After 2 stops, winning back-to-back. There's 4 stops total this season. So she is well on her way to her 9th King Kahekili trophy, getting closer to Gary Hunt.
Yeah.
Potentially being the greatest cliff diver, male or female, of all time if she keeps this up.
Unreal, Trace. Yeah. I like how you said it. Record-breaking Rhi. It's got a nice roll off the tongue there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fact.
It is, and it's going to be a long time till anybody takes any of her records.
It's tough.
Job well done, ladies. Beyonce was right. Who run the world? Girls.
I believe Faulkner is the oldest ever to earn a podium position in their debut.
Could be.
Congratulations, 1, 2, 3, with Rhi on top. Faulkner in her debut, grabbing a podium position, and congratulations to Simone Leathead with the silver medal here in Polignano, Mare.
What an incredible day of diving, Trace. There's that cheers, and here's the spray, baby. Rhi and Simone doing the special honors of dumping it on Lisa on her first podium. That's well deserved.
4 stops total, 2 are in the books. The next stop, number 3 of the World Series. We're heading to Bosnia and Herzegovina and the historic village of Mostar, one of the favorite locations for the World Series athletes. We've been there many times before. The diving tradition dates back centuries off the iconic bridge called Stari Most, which means the old bridge of Mostar. Pivotal stop of the World Series in terms of the overall point race, with only 1 event remaining after Mostar. You can catch out all 4 rounds live starting on September 4th. Stay locked in at redbullcliffdiving.com for all the details. Dave can't wait for that one. But for now, that concludes our time here in Polignano, Mare, Italy. Thanks for having us once again. This location never disappoints. But until then, and the next stop in Mostar, on behalf of Dave Colturi, Michael Frosty Snow, and our entire team, I'm Trace Worthington. Thanks for watching the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series from Polignano, Mare, Italy. So long.
Everything we want it to be a path to glory, fighting on to victory. We got our eyes open wide and it's do or die. It's all coming down to right now. This is our time. This is our moment. We're laying out on the line, and the world won't forget. Wanna take what is ours, leave the rest behind. had a chance. Moving on and upwards. Won't be a victim of circumstance. Cause this is our destiny. Fighting on.